Hello and welcome to Denny's After Hours. That's what I'm calling this segment because the season's technically over. So we're here after hours. We're cleaning up the kitchen, and we're going to
Cleaning up
talk
the
about
kitchen.
yeah, we're going to talk
There's
about
a
the
booth left. No, dude, there's a booth left unattended, bro. It was left by these four guys. They came out. They didn't tip very well. It was on the
no, they
corner.
don't. They don't tip well, but we still love them because they're regulars.
Oh my
But
god,
we
they're
don't.
poor tipper. That's new.
So, but we'll I'm your normal host of the content that streams that I've been putting out this season, Sammy Two Slap. Today I'm joined with Zodiac, Pizarro, and Pandora. And go ahead, introduce yourselves because they know about me, so I'm useless on this one.
I guess I can get the introduction started. Hi everyone. You should know me by now, because I'm kind of everywhere in LBLCS. But if you don't, my name is Zodiac. I am team manager of the Rat Kingdom. I play for Rat Rock Bottom. And I've been on the show before, so I know you guys have seen me. But if you haven't seen me before, hi, yeah, this is what I look like. Uh, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
And he's not repping his Dignitas jersey today,
I'm not
so
I'm not repping Dignitas today. I got back from the gym. Like I don't like working out my Dig jersey. Like you know. Kim Pizarro, you guys, one of you two.
I
Sure.
can go.
Oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead.
You first.
No, no,
No, no, no.
no.
I
Okay,
insist.
okay. What's up, guys? I'm Pissarro. I joined the creative team, I think, last year or last season, technically, but I'm still relatively new on the creative team. But I've played in LBLCS for 2 years now. I've played on various rosters. Most notably, right now, past season, I played on Team Volatility Vortex, and last season I played on Swag Order Gang. Um, and throughout my time, I've gotten to know the sort of, I would say, mid-range elo teams quite well and gotten to know a lot of people in the scene. So excited to talk about
Low
how things
Master.
shook up this past season in season 16 of LBLCS. Yes.
That's what they call them, the Low Master teams.
The low master. I wish. Actually, there are some low masters, but we'll get into that
Yeah.
in these
Oh
in
my
these
gosh.
leagues. Yeah, we'll get into that.
Hi everyone. I'm Pandora. I am a two-time LCS player in the last two seasons. I think I'm the newest here. We are just coming up on my 1 year anniversary in LCS. I started in the draft tournament, um, which was exactly almost 1 year ago. Teams I've played for. I played for Dinner Died for this in my first season, and then Elementum Echoes this past season where I was captain in both. You may or may not have seen me around either answering tickets or doing other creative work. So excited to be here.
I'm glad we got two newer faces on the show today, and I've got Zodiac again. So,
Just call me old at this point, man.
I mean, I think we're the longest running people here from.
Yeah, no, we definitely are.
So,
We
The
definitely are.
veterans of the squad. The
I
veterans.
I started in season 8, so it it was a long time ago, back when there were only 4 divisions of
Yeah,
LPLCS.
in the Dark Ages.
Yeah. So pretty much we're gonna go over all the divisions that we had this year. Each of us have 2 of the divisions we're gonna mainly talk about, and then there's gonna be questions, I'm sure, from everyone about certain things and stuff. So we're gonna start with economy because I think economy there was definitely a lot of interesting stuff going on in economy this season, and we're just gonna work our way up like we talked about, and pretty much economy and commercial is what I'm doing. So that's what we're doing. We're starting with economy. We're not going out of order. It's crazy. I don't get paid enough for that.
We play League. We're not linguistic experts here. We play
Nope.
League of Legends, man.
Yep.
If it doesn't involve freezing waves and flaming our teammates, Not in the dictionary.
We do our best though. We still do our best.
We do. So, Economy had 10 teams this season, which is weird because normally they have anywhere between 8 to 16 teams, which tends to in the middle there, but 10's a weird number for a league, in my opinion. But, I mean, we had Silver Song Academy, Baron Buddies, OML versus everybody, Holy League guys, the Open Nexus, Old Bays, Pimp Standard Time, the Kicking Squids, Horror Professors, and probably my favorite name in this group, Tomato.
My goats. My goats. Tomato.
They are goats. So, but pretty much, uh, we had one. There were we had 8 teams that made playoffs. The only 2 teams, unfortunately, that didn't make playoffs this split for Economy was Baron Buddies and the Open Nexus, and everyone else made playoffs. So there was 8 teams in playoffs, like LBL says, LBLCS normally does with their 8-team format playoff system, which they changed the whole playoff bracket for the lower end system too, because the first round was best of 3s, and it was semifinals and finals were best of 5s, which normally it's best of 3, best of 3, best of 5. So I'm sure everyone, and I don't know how everyone took to it. I've heard mixed reviews on it. But
Yeah, so as someone who played in full BO5s all playoffs, my god.
was that fun?
I mean, I liked it. I like playing best. I like playing BO5s. I think it's really cool, and I think part of the. I don't mean to interject, but I think I'll just like one of my things I like the most about economy is like economy and owner, which we'll get to, are the 2 leagues where it's like no, it's like nobody watches like pro play or like high elo stuff. So there's like who gives a hell, who gives a rip what we're drafting? We're just gonna
Yeah,
pick shit that we like. And so like again, I didn't follow economy super well. But from my previous time experience economy, I know it's like, what do you want to play today? Oh, you want to play this? Cool. It's
100%
just
that is how Economy is, because I've played there a lot. So it's like, what do you want to play?
I mean, I think that's great. I mean, just vibes drafting. I did get to cast one economy series with Less Force early in the split. I believe it was the Poro Professors versus the Kicking Squids, and we definitely could not predict the draft, that's for sure.
oh yeah, Kick and Squids had Buggle on it too. Yeah, there's no chance you're protecting that.
Yeah,
There's definitely some interesting picks picked out.
I know with them specifically, they could pretty much switch their whole lineup in any roles
Yeah, I was
too.
gonna
So
say Buggle's gonna go whatever role he wants to. You might even see a Pantheon
He's just gonna
ADC out
pick
of him.
whatever champions
Yeah.
he wants in that
Yeah,
role
Pantheon
too.
ADC. Let's fucking go. Like
I want to say there was a season 2 where he just played like he played an entire season of AD carry, but did not pick a single range champion.
Yeah,
He only
exactly.
picked
Yeah.
melee
that
champions
sounds
in
about
that
right for
thing.
Buggle.
I think I played
Yeah,
against him in that season. And Pantheon ADC, I remember that very
yeah.
distinctly.
I remember he had like a Jack AD carry too. I'm like, what
Yeah,
the
yeah.
like as the resident like #1 graphic maker for the All Star stuff, I remember like I'm sorting through all the champs they play. I'm like, oh, who Bug will play the most this year? Jax. I'm like, what the fuck? Isn't he the AD carry?
Yeah.
Sounds about
I
right for
mean,
Buggle.
especially in economy, like best of 5 on top of it being fearless now, I think like you're gonna have a lot of people digging deep and potentially even first timing champions when they go on the Rift if they get to 5 games. Like you never know what's gonna happen up until that point. So
Oh,
it's
100%.
definitely a new experience for a lot of players, I'm sure, that made it all the
Oh
way to
yeah.
those best fives. Pain,
Oh,
thingy.
we
A couple other
100%
villains
try our
too,
best too.
What,
Yeah.
with the way LBLS is designed, is something I've always bragged about LBLCS. It's like, dude, anyone can play it. Like, I mean, shoot. The again, we'll get to
Exactly.
my team. We'll get to my team later. But 2 of the players on my starters didn't play ranked at all. Like,
Yeah,
not a
and I
single
think
game of solo queue.
I think that's like what we should really highlight here. It's about like the inclusivity that the league brings, right? Like
Exactly.
all these other leagues are gonna have strict requirements, and because of that, people feel excluded. But I think LBLCS, brings in a lot of people that you normally wouldn't, and creates like this great safe environment for everyone. So sometimes you'll have a few bad apples, get through the cracks, but we work through that, and we
Yeah.
improve, and we move on from it too.
Yeah.
So
Especially in economy too, where and this is like another kind of my overarching points about like economy that I really like this league. Same thing with commercial, and we'll get to commercial later, where it's like, you know, they economy is like one of the few leagues. It's like a it's like a moment in time, like locked in an iceberg. Because there's still some teams and some players who have been here forever, like
Yep.
Kicking Squids, who like won their first chip, I think in season 4 or something like that, and they're still kicking. No pun intended. Um,
That was a pun, you know it.
yeah. Or like in like just looking through the roster list, there's some players like Talk Show on Mute, Rathus,
Young
Young Santa,
Santa.
like Yordle, like people who have been here forever, and like that they keep coming back. It's like it's so cool because then there's also so many like new teams, like of course the goats, tomato, tomato, tomato. Um, like there's no real other league, honestly, in the amateur scene that's like so old veteran half, but then also like a bunch of new people. It's
Yep.
kind of like a really cool
And,
environment.
and what's great is with how many applications we get roughly a year, it's always like there's always newer people putting in applications to join and stuff. So like
Oh yeah.
the number of applications they receive increase every year, and then they have to decide, okay, what teams are we going to take, and what teams are A going to be whitelisted, or B, what teams are going to be not eligible. And
makes
so
sense.
like you could be a veteran team and not be eligible.
Yep.
Yeah. No, 100%. So I guess my next question is, when is this booth or table? I don't know if we want to claim the booth.
No, we're not taking the
Copyright.
booth.
No, we're not
We're
there
cleaning
yet.
up the kitchen. I
Yeah.
told you this
Well,
already.
what about what are we making the econ team, boys?
Well, we make it.
Econ team.
We don't
The
have
full off-roll econ team.
The off-road econ.
Oh my
off-roll.
god! Wait, I played Nautilus top recently. I could make a great top laner. Just so you guys know.
Oh, fuck yeah! All right, we got one game. We can build one comp. We just need X amount of more champions. We can survive a fearless series.
I mean, could you
Oh, this
give
is
us
my
a bigger
pick.
breakdown on the season itself, though, and how things panned out in terms of,
So
group stage, maybe starting with there?
yeah, Color Guys was the top team in economy. They and I don't, because their stats took over the standing sheet. Can't tell you what their beginning season record was before playoffs, but they finished with 11-1. So they've had 9-week regular season, then their 3 weeks of playoffs. So they lost one series, but they ended up winning the whole thing also. So congratulations to Yordle and company. So
Yordle's what, first championship?
yes, Yordle's first championship in all his years here.
Dude, I know. I saw that. I was like, oh shit! He finally like.
Well deserved. He's been a pillar of the community for a
I
while now.
know he's been around for so long. I've like, it's so funny because like in the previous weeks and actually kind of wrapping up today, I know Kim has been contributing to this a lot. Like I've been trying to compile like a big like historical archive of like, I know we have the past champions channel, but like putting that into context like historically, and it's always cool seeing like, oh, now someone gets their name like added into it. And we'll talk about it more with some of the other leagues, but like there's been so many teams where it's taken them so long to finally get over that hump and get their championship.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding, though. It's so rewarding when you finally get it.
And then we had the second place team led by Young Santa, OML versus everybody. which I believe Santa is still looking for his first championship after
I think
being here.
Mellis and Org is trying to find theirs, trying to get there first. They've been
They haven't
close. They
won.
made finals this year, made semis in executive last season.
So
They're
OML's still looking for their first one, but they're on the cusp. They'll get one soon. I can feel it.
Yeah. They're gonna break through.
Then in the regular season, the rest of the teams finished off. It was Tim Standard Time, Silver Song Academy, the Kicking Squids, Tomato, Old Bays, the Poor Professors, Bear and Buddies, and the Open Nexus. And I think the biggest upset in the playoff games was probably Tomato being Silver Song Academy. Because Silver Song Academy has pickle hair. Someone that we all know. And it's like
we do all know Mr. Pickle Hater, yes. A
and
pillar of the community, true.
Another pillar.
Love him or hate him. Another pillar of the community.
And I mean, I know when I won my first championship, my team beat Pickle Hair. So that was a fun.
So you're eternally linked with him.
I am.
You guys are rivals. Maybe you guys will see each other next season. Who knows?
Depends on where teams end up because LBLCS likes to change their points around.
True. Depends on where Egg ends up, man.
Yeah. So pretty much third, fourth place after playoffs was Tim Standard Time and Tomato. And then 5th through 8th was the Poor Professors, Kicking Squids, Old Bays, and Silver Song Academy. If we're going based off of ranking of playoffs.
Right. It's typically that's usually how it.
That's how it should go, yes.
Yeah. It's like, in FIFA, right? Like, Paraguay won the 16 best teams in the world. Germany, who are they?
Yeah,
Italy,
that's
don't
true.
get me started.
Too soon. The Germans are crying too soon.
Well,
So good.
All right. So, anyone got any more questions about economy for me, or?
I think. I mean, I've had all my big talking points about economy. Just kind of talking a lot about how everything how the league is always built and whatnot. I know hunk of the season will probably come from someone from Cuddly League guys. I mean, I guess it's like a pick your poison of the starters.
Yeah,
I'll always root for my boy Luffy to get it.
It's Luffy, no? Yeah, I was gonna throw that out
Probably
there. I
should.
think yeah.
it probably will be Luffy.
He's been a great performer, like every season, and I know that he punches above his weight. So
Yeah.
if I had to shout out someone, it would be him for sure.
Moving to mid lane too. Like after last season, he made I think the full move to mid lane.
Yep.
Too,
From jungle, right? I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he was a jungler on my team in season 12 when we won the championship. So.
Yeah, I think I played against him one time in actually in Spilled Zodiac, if you remember. It was a different Spilled. But yeah,
Yes.
I'm gonna throw that and call that back out. But I think he's a great player, and he's definitely despite his rank, definitely punches above the economy level. So to see him perform well is no surprise to me, to be quite honest.
I mean, you could argue too that Luffy is one of, if not the best lower division player in LBLCS history, like pound for pound.
I would not be against that judgment.
He's a two-time champion in 2 different roles, like with 2 different orgs. Like that's pretty good.
Now he's got
2 orgs to their first championship too, like legacy wise.
Now he has to do it for 3 different orgs in the other 3 positions.
Oh my god, the Infinity Gauntlet. The Rogue Gauntlet is complete.
Yeah. The gauntlet has been thrown.
So Luffy, if you're watching this, we're telling you need to get championship as a top laner in a different org.
80 carry. 80
An 80 carry and support. So Pandora, any other questions for economy or statements or facts or?
I mean, the only statement I have is I'm just too busy staring at these logos, especially tomato, tomato, tomato.
Dude,
Uh, it's
Yeah.
just 5 tomatoes and the 5 rows of League of Legends, and then the smiley faces on them. Like, how did this team not win the economy?
I'm saying
They won
we,
favorite team for sure.
we need tomato, tomato, tomato to come back.
Like, I
We
don't
need
know how people are trying to use AI logos. Don't do that. Do what tomatoes,
to
tomatoes, tomatoes
literally
do.
actually
All I'm
do
saying.
what they did. Just get 3 tomato PNGs, draw smiley faces on them. You can go get the roll icon PNGs for free online, and just throw that thing on there. Boom, logo done,
I
and like, it's awesome.
I will say Eggs logo is still being drawn right now,
Okay, awesome.
so
Oh yeah,
it's
because you have someone design all y'all's logos, right?
what we did for when I was with NG, and
Ah, yeah,
we have a
NG.
new person for Egg, and
Oh, nice.
they are still currently working on the overall Discord logo first before we start actual team logos and stuff. But all the
Oh,
teams
nice.
have names and stuff already, so they're once they get the Discord logo ready, it's going to be easy to get the rest of the logos done.
Awesome.
So, yes, then we can move on to commercial, which was my playground this year. Because even though I only played 1.1 series, one full
Hey, you were
series,
there.
and one game of another series, I was there. We had 16 teams in commercial. So I'm going to break it down per group.
Okay.
So that
More
way
importantly, you were putting out content for this.
I was.
Yes, you were
Yeah,
pumping No wonder
you
you
were a
played one and a half
content
series.
machine for this.
You were too
And
busy making content.
yeah, I watched all those as a fan of a lot of these teams and just some of the players in commercial. Like I think you did commercial a great service with your weekly or
Yeah.
was it weekly? I don't know the
It,
cadence,
it
but
was roughly bi weekly.
gotcha. But I think like it kept a lot of people engaged and in
And
even
that
outside of commercial. Like for me, I'm like I'm not playing in commercial. Like I do have friends in commercial, but still like it helped me follow along a lot. So I think credit to
and
the
that
content
was my whole
was
point
great.
was try get engagement from the community and stuff like that. So thank you for those. Thank you for watching. It makes me proud someone watched it. But so I'm gonna start with commercial A. Since like I said, we got two groups. We had Forgot to Buy, Team Amphibians, Five Musketeers Vanguard, Creamy Liqueur, Naughty Dogs, Nefarious Gaming Mimics, Pelly League Dudes, and Win or Learn. Now, with 16 full teams in commercial, it was the top four teams in each group that made the playoffs for commercial. And the four teams from Group A were probably the four juggernauts of commercial commercial Group A this season because it was Forgot to Buy, Team Amphibians, the Five Musketeers Vanguard, and Cream the Cure.
And the only one I think that's not like part of an org, at least a very recognizable org, was Forgot to Buy. Cream Liqueur is a milk org, just for people
Yeah,
who don't know.
I mean,
From a lot of our good friend Vega, that's his org. So,
yeah, Team Amphibians isn't part of an org though, is it? Are
oh,
they?
that's right. Sorry. I just because I know that team has Kiale and Zax and Frog on it. I always just assume those guys with high alert. So like I just like, oh,
See,
that's the high alert team. It's not.
yeah, no, they're a bunch of amphibian people. So
Hey man. Hey, listen, Zax is a former rat, man. I don't. He's no amphibian to me.
I mean, I know Zach's from Backflip, so
Oh, there you go.
so they're all over the place.
Yeah,
You were
what
saying
I'm
something, Kim?
Yeah, what I think is really cool about this bracket, and executive last year was like this as well. So with 16 teams, you can really only have um 4 to 6 teams from each bracket, and so it looks like they opted for 4 teams from each
Yep.
for 3 rounds, which is great, but big difference on economy, which had 8 out of 10 teams qualify. So that is always that's what I love about the LBLCS. The formats for every division are just different, but they all work in different ways. So
Yep.
Yeah, the cross group play, as I'm sure Kim can attest to from executive last season, is like one of the wildest things because you're asking all your friends from the so like, what'd you do to scout these people? Like, how'd you scout these people? What'd you ban against them? Like, it's
yeah,
really
absolutely.
fun.
You're like, I didn't watch a single game from the other group. What do we do now?
I know we
Oops.
did that. You guys helped us out with the Group A teams. I think we tried our best to help you out last year with the. Well, no, you helped us out with the Group B teams. We helped you out with the Group A teams.
So
So
so we had cross group also this season in commercial in week 4, and we played against Color League dudes specifically, and the only people I asked about was Cream Liqueur, since they were the most recent team to play Color League dudes. I was like, okay, what did you do? And they're like, no, we didn't scout till like 10 minutes beforehand. I'm like, you guys are useless to me.
Hey man,
no.
sometimes
So,
10 minutes is all you need. Just depends.
well,
Yeah,
not for the sheet that I do, because I do a full sheet that is more work than probably needs to be done. But we're not talking about that today. But yeah, forgot to buy Amphibians, Vanguard, and Cremacure. They were the juggernauts of Group A, especially at the beginning of the season. It was forgot to buy Team Amphibians and Vanguard mostly. Cremacure started to build up momentum at the mid end of the season and was able to secure that 4th spot. But I mean, if you look at them, forgot to buy went 8-2 with the playoff record. The rest of them went 6-3. I know a lot of the people with me on Denny's No Reservations. They all chose like Group A teams, except for the Cream of the Cure and Cancun on 3 for a final match because they had no faith in Group B.
and the Group B comes out and takes 3 of the 4 semifinal spots.
Exactly.
So I guess a couple of things here, Sammy, since Nefarious
Yes.
Gaming is kind of how is it having like three Nefarious Gaming teams
Yeah,
in a division?
That was interesting because
Yeah.
I honestly thought my team was going to be an economy team this season, so I was expecting to be an economy. I thought Waves was actually going to be in like tax haven,
oh wow.
and I didn't know Mimics was a last minute team that got built, and I didn't know much about where they were going to be. So I was like, the other owner of Nefarious decided to build a team and was like, this is what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, you can do that. And we all got shoved in the same bracket. And then I saw my team, Gremlins, and Waves were all in the same, or me and Waves were in the same group also. So I'm like, we gotta play Waves in the regular season now too. So
Luck of the draw, boy. Luck of the draw.
yeah,
Hey, but you guys are second and third seed here, so that's just exciting. So
yeah. So on Group B, we had Cancun on 3, we had Waves in Motion, we have Gremlins, PC Aces, which everyone loves. That's the fan favorite from Group B. Team 4 Fishnets, Cloud95, Needlessly Large Rods, and One Tail. And
fun fact. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. last one?
The 4 teams that made it were Cancun on 3, NG
Right.
Waves, NG Gremlins, and Team 4 Fishnets.
Fun fact I know about the finals, since I was talking to Kryptonic about this on Wavy's Emotion. He lost, I think, internet on the day before finals, the day of finals. It was in a pretty rural area,
Yep,
and
yep.
so more power to him. I think he drove at least 2 hours to get to a PC cafe to play out the series.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
And what's
Yeah.
funny is I talked to Kryptonic afterwards the next day, and he told me that the PC cafe put him on one of the stage computers because the cafe has a stage on it.
Oh fuck yeah.
So
They heard he was coming for finals, and they were like, "We'll put you on stage."
yeah, which
Fuck yeah.
he hated that. He was like, he did not enjoy that.
boy.
But
Oh man.
it was great to see him make it to go or make the commitment to drive 2 hours to get to that gaming PC or gaming cafe. I cannot speak today. But he drove 2 hours.
So,
He made it on time. And they had a 4-game banger in the finals. I mean,
yeah.
Cancun on 3 was the juggernaut of Group B this season, followed by Gremlins and Waves. I think Waves and Gremlins was a very close second, third. I mean, we beat them in the regular season, so we didn't get to play them again in finals, which is what my heart wanted. I wanted the Gremlins versus Waves
A
rematch.
Civil War.
I won.
Nefarious Giving Civil War.
Yes, I did.
Listen, as someone who has been on the losing side of a very famous civil war in LBLCS lore, let me tell you, you do not want to be on the losing side of one. That sucks. It really sucks. But like, you're happy for the people. I mean, you're happy for the people that won.
Yes.
But what's really interesting, because again, just another league, I didn't follow super closely, like especially record wise. So actually, and we'll talk about one of the other teams later. Cancun on 3, because they lost that series, they were one of 2 teams this year that went into the finals unbeaten and then lost. Because I
We
think
were
this
close to
one,
beating them in the regular season.
yes,
And so was
there you
Waves,
go.
because
Oh, okay, so they were like they were winning, but they weren't like an infallible unbeaten. Like people that
yes,
drew blood against them.
they lost. They lost 3 games in the regular season, 3 individual games.
Okay.
And I think that it was all
wow.
in the last 3 weeks. Because they lost 1 game to Team 4 Fishnets. They lost 1 game to Gremlins. And then they lost 1 game to Waves. So, I mean, they were statistically the best team to enter playoffs. They were statistically the best team probably to win playoffs.
And then they got clipped at the very end. But that's why you play the games, right?
That's why you play the game. And I love Waves. And little spoiler, Waves is coming to Egg also.
Okay, let's go. All right, Egg Waves in Motion.
Yep. Or they're just going to be called Waves in Motion again. They don't have to take the Egg name, but they're gonna use our Discord and stuff.
Okay.
So
worst comes to worst, they're like a sister team.
yes, even
That's
though
awesome.
they're not directly Egg related.
Right. So what's cool too about Waves in Motion winning under the Nefarious banner, that puts Nefarious, as I finally get to reference the LBLCS Championship history Google Doc that I've been working on. That puts Nefarious now in the group that has 2 of organizations with 2 titles. And what I mean by the difference between organization and team is like, for example, I'll use my organization, for example, the Rat Kingdom. We had a team this season when in owners, which I'll talk about, and in audit, which I'll also talk about. So as an org, we added 2 championships to the total that we have. Right. So Nefarious added another one. So they now
Yep.
join. There's gonna be some names in here.
Oh,
Serenity, Sensei Randall's, Naughty, Lost Cause, who's a team org. Like I'm counting
yeah.
them. Coffee House, Team Popo. Shout out to them. Two seasons LBLCS, 2 championships. You guys, Dinner died for this, who joined this season, and then SNC who had one of the craziest runs in season 11, winning both economy and commercial, and then basically not coming back.
Okay, I got one thing for you though. You gotta say the full name of Sensei Randall's.
Sensei Randall's Intermediate Karate Squadron.
Okay.
I know.
You
I've
had
been around.
you had to
I
say
looked
the
at
full
past
name.
champions.
You had to say
They
the
were-
full name.
They were
You
in
can't
my
just
group
say
one year in
Sensei
financial.
Randall's. You can't just
Yeah,
say Sensei Randall's.
That's fair. You know what? Fair enough. They were in my group. They were in my group one year in financial.
Yeah, so I was there for both those championships for Nefarious. And
Hell yeah.
one of them I was on the team for, one I'm just the owner. So, but
Well,
I mean, I think commercial this season was probably with how close Group A was, and how like close the top 3 of Commercial B was. I think this was probably one of the better seasons for Commercial, with how close like the top 7 teams that made playoffs all were. I mean,
Yeah, I agree with that.
because
I actually
there's
think
probably
to
some
further
teams that
that,
some
yeah.
people thought weren't going to make it, and some teams that surprised them.
I think more so for me, because I follow commercial a little bit, is like how surprising like everyone's impressions were at the start of how dominant a commercial group A was over a commercial group B. I think going into playoffs, as far as I know, the vast majority of people looked at the teams in A versus B and thought like
Yep.
commercial team A teams are going to completely raw commercial group B teams, but it turned out to be the opposite. Because like you have like, I mean, we already went over them already, but you have like big names on some of these teams in commercial. Like you have Frog on Team Amphibians, you have Cream Liqueur, the milk team with like Gingy, Soul, Kaz, and the rest of those guys popping off. And then we didn't even mention them, but T5M, the Five Musketeers Vanguard, with Brehio jungling on that team, with like Drox and God Alive, who have also played in what is now known as Scuttle Crab Draft League. Like, I think a lot of these teams had like big, heavy hitters in Commercial A. So I think the upsets that happened in the first round of playoffs for Commercial B, in favor of Commercial B, were like a huge surprise. And I think, again, and you already talked about this, Sammy, but I think that's a huge testament to like a lot of the longevity in these teams, right? Because these are people who have played together for many, many years now and have built up rapport with each other. And I think like that, like trumps and beat out like a collection of like big names coming together, if that makes sense.
Oh, my
The
team, it
level
was
of
all their
coordination and
first
practice
season
that
playing
goes into
together.
that, can beat, things that are on paper better than like on paper might be better. So, I think this season of commercial in particular like outlined that because like if you assess them based on TPE or by any other metric, like it was going to be the commercial 18s by far. So I think this season, taught everyone an important lesson in commercial that, at the end of the day, it's like vibes, practice, and coordination that like help you dominate in fives, especially in the lower brackets.
Yes, and I just have one small thing left to say. Out of all the playoff teams, Gremlins was the lowest TPE at 17, and the next lowest team after that was Amphibians at 21. So, I mean, the fact that Gremlins took out Vanguard, who sat at 23.
Yep.
And their
Yeah, I mean,
first season playing together
it's
was
so crazy when
just,
punching out of your weight class. I think it's really impressive what the Gremlins did.
yeah, that's why they're gremlins. They got fed after midnight and they turned into monsters. So
Hell yeah.
I think that pretty much wraps up commercial for me. And I believe that Bizarre, you're in charge of tax haven and financial, which are our next two groups.
That is correct.
So,
So,
take it away.
you know, people look at tax haven and financial. These are two of, I would say, what are traditionally the mid-table teams in the LBLCS, right? They're generally the teams that, you regard in terms of elo sitting around, I would say, roughly mid-plat to potentially diamond 4 peak. That's generally what you would expect out of these leagues, just to preface it. But this season was very, very interesting. Um, I'm sure, as everyone is aware, season 16 of League um, made some changes to how people would gain LP
Some slight,
and
some
the
slight
rank system in general,
modifications.
and the rank system in general. So you saw a lot of people climbing that maybe wouldn't have climbed in the past because Riot unlocked LP gains. So I think there was a lot of, I would say, hidden talent that, as the season went on, showed why, you know, they're highly regarded as big names in the LBLCS. So with that being said, I think for Tax Haven in particular, um, looking at the groups, I think going into it, it's very deceptive with how the group stages went. I think especially in Tax Haven B, because there was a lot of cases where people didn't have their full roster yet, weren't sure of their full roster, had to change their roster mid-season, were testing things out in the group stage and seeing how things went. So I think the initial, I would say, outlook of the group and the standings did not reflect the actual playoff teams that people had to face once the playoffs were determined. I think big standouts for me, I think Two Hat in Tax Haven A did in fact dominate their group. They had very good showings. Hodors was actually the top of the group as well. Alongside them, they were, I believe, like either dropped one series throughout the whole group stage or none at all. They were very good as well. Um, and on Tax Haven B, you have teams like Mint Star Rail, who played well throughout the whole season, but actually had a roster shift going towards the end of the regular season and going into playoffs. Um, but they had a, what I actually thought was a net positive change at the end of the day with how that shook out. And Swag Order Gang, a team I'm very familiar with, um, had a tumultuous group stage for a variety of reasons, mainly because they were testing stuff out and sort of filling in the gaps as they went with the roles and sort of, I guess I would say, roles as well as which positions people wanted to play in going into playoffs, or exactly which direction the team wanted to go in. But I think going into playoffs, they really solidified their position. They were very close to not actually making it, but a head to head win over, I believe, FF at 10 gave them the edge to qualify. Tax Haven as a whole, going into playoffs, I think was really, really close. And I think there were a lot of outcomes that people didn't expect looking at the playoff bracket. Um, but when it all came down to it, I think at the end of the day, the teams that had the better players ended up where they should. So I think Swag Order Gang has a couple of underrated players, I think, that went hugely under the radar this season. I'm sure everyone's aware of Dreamy and how good he is, and
Yes.
yeah,
As
and the
someone who
type
has
of
played
player he
against
is.
Streamy before, and like
Yeah,
I remember I like do a double take at one point. 'Cause, like I have all my LVLCS people added
yeah,
as a
yeah,
friend. I think when I played him, he was like Emerald or Plat or whatever. I was like, oh,
yeah,
Dreamy's like, I was like, Dreamy's good. Like he's pretty solid. Like okay. I like I a couple months later, I was like, what the fuck? He's D2. I'm like, what the hell? When did he get there? He's D1 right
Yeah.
now, by the way.
Yeah, he is, he is. But I mean, he's someone who's known throughout the scene, right? So he's not someone that I
Right.
want to highlight. Later you'll see in future All-Star hint into All-Stars and stuff like that. You'll see me shouting him out and stuff like that. He's known in the scene. He's well, and he deserves that reputation. He's an absolute monster on the Rift, right? But I think
Right.
like two players that people don't see often, and I really want to highlight and shout out. First is Max or Makes. He was their jungler this season. This guy is an absolute monster on the Rift, and I think people forgot that he's someone who already had 2 chips going into the season. He already had 2 championship titles to his name. This guy is an absolute unit when it comes to playing the game because he will show up to a team fight and absolutely rock you. It doesn't like he previously was my top laner. The guy, it doesn't matter how much gold or how laning phase went. When he shows up to team fights, he has huge impact, and I think that's heavily underrated. This season as a jungler, I think he played for perfect opportunities, waited for them, and played off of his team, and was able to create winning team fight situations that people were not expecting. And one other thing I have to shout out to him is that very early on in the season, before it's a pick that's well known now, but early on, while the season was going on, he picked up Nasus Jungle, who currently is probably the most OP jungler right now in hidden tech OP jungler right now in Summoner's Rift. And I think him picking that up and using that as one of his pocket picks, I think completely changed, you know, how series would go and what people thought. Because people would initially look at that pick and think that it's a joke and it's not serious. But in actuality, and as it turns out now, it's one of the best picks in jungle right now, especially as a counter pick into other AD bruisers. So I did want to give him a shout out. The other player I wanted to give a huge shout out to on that team is Schmat. He's their support on their team. I shouted him out earlier in the season in the Tax Haven chat, and I said this one line. I specifically said, "This guy will hit his CC and he will CC you, and you will not enjoy it." And if you saw how that finals game went on the Hook Champions he was playing, that's exactly how it played out. So I think it's no surprise that Swag Order Gang swept through the bracket with very little difficulty and played well once people settled in on the rules that they wanted and played super locked in. So big shout outs to them. No surprises that they won. The other team that I do want to highlight though is Mid Star Rail. They had to go through a roster change mid season, and they brought in We Will Show Them All, also known as Jake, who is a jungler.
My
And I think
goat.
yeah,
My goat.
and I think and I think he actually was a net positive to that team. Prince is usual or Prince, also known as Beanie as well, is the usual jungler on that team, and he also played very very well throughout the season. I want to give a big shout out to him too. Like I think he definitely was the MVP jungler, and was a huge part in Mint Star Rail's wins throughout the season. And I think it's just that they had to go against Max at the end of the day. And I think like even though Prince plays a very very well structured sort of pace for his team and he plays off tempo very well and he makes sure to how should I say this, like he creates space for his team in order to create opportunities and therefore close out games. I think like him alongside the rest of the Mid Star Rail team, they were a really good unit, but they just couldn't stand up to Swag Order Gang at the end of the day because they're just beasts, man. They like things that don't make sense. They make things positive outcomes out of them. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about Max and Dreamy. They're absolute monsters. So huge shout outs to them. Huge shout outs to Mint Star Rail as well for what I think is a great run. And other than that, I don't have much else to say about Tax Haven. I think. Uh,
So
yeah, go ahead.
historical point. Um, with their win, Swag Order is now the fourth team in LBLCS history to go back to back. They join Team Fried Chicken, Lost Cause, High Alert Henchmen, or High Alert because they name change, but they're the same roster, and them, and then a team we'll talk about later. But I know there's like really.
Wow.
Look, I don't want to spoil anything. But I think there's a couple of points I really want to make on Tax Haven. One, this league, this is like like in like FIFA World Cup season whatnot. They have what's called the Group of Death, and like in Worlds
Yeah.
too. Like this is like the League of Death. Like, because there's so many good teams and really good players here that just got like they just got like they're in a position where like you're way better than your record, but like it's just the way the dice fell. Because like Team Backflip, who were reigning champions last season, a
Or
couple of
commercial.
Quackers, which is one of my favorite names. They had people like Turtle, Hollow, Accamped, and Team Backflip again, Nutjack, Swag, Ion Joy, little Zodax. Like it's like the same team. Dogs that bark with like maybe the best player to never have a championship pound for pound in Matt C. Like who's just a crazy good player. Like there's a lot of it's really interesting how it broke and just kind of like then there's so many teams that are just so good, but because the way tax saving was structured and only took the top four, it's kind of unfortunate. But I'm sure it made the game super exciting. And then the real team I wanted to shout out though was Tree Gang. For those who are not old like me and Sammy in this league, Tree Gang
Hey,
has been around forever, like forever.
they took last
And
season off, didn't they?
I'm not sure,
I
but they
think they
all,
did, yeah.
but like, and it's always the same roster. It's always Snow Prisoner, who's a monster mid lane. He's actually like my baptism in LBLDS. My first ever LBLCS game was against Snow Prisoner, um, which was fun. Um, and then like it's the same group of people, and they always run it back. And they had such a good team this year, but fell short. And just like, dang it. But there's a lot of good teams in here. There's a lot of people that I know. I'm happy Swag Gordigan got to do something super historical. Going back to back as a 4 seed too, as like the 4th seed. Like again, like you said, barely squeaking into playoffs.
I think that's so deceptive though, because they were like trying stuff out and testing stuff
Right,
and having
but
fun in the
still,
regular
like
season. But yeah,
historically speaking, like
yeah,
winning it as a 4 seed already it's not like a true 4 seed situation, but still, like you were a 4 seed. You had to go through the best in Group A to even get to a chance to get
true,
into semifinals. So
true.
like Tax Haven was like a buzzsaw league, as I like to call it.
I think it
So
was, but I think it also like I think people like underestimated people and overestimated some people too. And I think like at the end of the day, it was like how much respect you show to your opponents, right? Because I think you have to go into every game, even if you haven't heard this person's name before or something like that, thinking that this person is going to pop off. Because I think like if I mean, basically to put it simply, like for example, with Swag Order Gang, I think not banning like Max's Zahen or his Nasus every game after he's played them throughout all these series and popped off on them. I think, that's heavily underestimating your opposition just because, they may not have a rank or be unranked or something like that. So at the end of the day, you have to go into every single match respecting all the teams because, like you said, there's just so much parity at the end of the day, right? It's like you don't know who
Right.
you're gonna face at the end of the day, and you have to approach every match as like, hey, this is like someone that could potentially beat us. Let's put in the work and the effort and acknowledge that, and try to prepare for these matches accordingly. Because I think, and this goes for any other situation or game. It's like a lot of it comes down to draft too in these fives. So that could be the edge that makes a difference.
So I did a little research. Intriguing was in LBLCS last season, but they were Audit division last season.
Oh,
Oh, I see. That's why I didn't see them.
okay.
Yeah,
So
because I didn't see
that's
them once.
so that shows you how much like LBLCS points can change in a season too. So
Yeah, I think a big part, and we'll see this too when we talk about audit, the points, some teams that were in totally different divisions, one split and the next split as well. Um, and same with financial. I do think that a big part of that is the role change, from looking at end rank as opposed to peak rank. So expecting season 17 to shake things up again, but you never know.
it wouldn't surprise me with LBLCS, honestly.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
seems like
I always tell
something
people.
changes every year.
I tell people who make teams or like want to start building teams. I'm like, all right, you have to build two teams. You have to build teams for the pre-rules that they stay the same, and after the rules.
After the
After
rules,
the rules
exactly.
drop.
They drop, and then you build your real team.
Yep. But yeah, I completely agree with you, Zodiac. Like you have these other players with like you know them and like you know how capable these teams are, and the record does not show it. Like backflip.
Sometimes too, it's just the way the cookie
What?
crumbles. Like we'll talk about it more in audit too, when we
Yeah,
get
it
there.
really
Like
is. I
sometimes you
agree.
just get
Like you
unlucky
never
in your
know.
draw.
You get unlucky in your draw, or like you know, I mean, that's the beauty of League of Legends, though, right? It's like you get unlucky in the patch that you're playing on. Your main is nerfed,
Yeah,
for example, like, and so like champions that you are like known for are now like so much weaker than they usually are, and it could turn the outcome of a team fight, which turns the outcome of a game. Like League is a very fickle game, but that's what makes it so much fun, right?
exactly.
They'll never nerf my champion, my secret champion for support. So
Zillion, bro. That's the
no,
only one I can think of that's perennial that hasn't been touched. But yeah,
no, Timo.
Timo. Okay, okay. Fellow
Timo
Timo and
support.
keyboard enjoyer. Were there any other questions or comments that we wanted to make about tax haven before moving on? I think these teams were all so good though. Like I think Zodiac made a great point. Like I wanted to focus on the two teams that I wanted to focus on, but like all of these teams were super super strong, and I think it came down to inches, if that made sense, or like
Yeah, no.
understanding draft. Yeah,
That is how league is. It's a game of inches,
yep.
especially
It's
in
definitely
draft
a game of
and
inches.
then how you execute your draft. So
With that, I will move on to financial. To be quite honest with you, um, I did play in financial this season, so I have a little bit more insight into everything going in. Um, but I will say, um, unlike Tax Haven, where there was a lot of parity, I think financial was there was almost no parity in this league. It was ridiculously top heavy, ridiculously bottom heavy, and then the middle of the pack teams were all like there was just so much distance in the middle of the pack teams from the bottom and the top. So it was a very, very, very interesting group. Financial was a 12 team group with the top 8 qualifying, and um, it was very clear from like by the time you got midway through the season, like who was going to make playoffs and who wasn't because of how much disparity there was. I think one of the previous members on the show from League of Alumni, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, unfortunately. Discussed a meme that he made of like the three-headed Hydra, if you
oh,
guys know the
Drake
meme,
play.
Yes.
yeah, where two of them are like intense and serious, and one is goofy. And like unlike his meme where the last one is goofy, I think all three teams deserved their flowers with how he was ranking them. It's just because his team was the last team, incidentally, so that's why he was trying to put a goofy spin on it. But Dinner Die for this Paprika, Los Big Dig, and League of Numni were absolutely dominant in the regular season. They were like top of the top, definitely going to make it. They just stood out in comparison to the rest of the group. And I would say like on paper, the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams, like they were all in between. So Team Volatility, Vortex, Iron Dragons, LPP Boys, 4G Sports Chaos, and Heartstuck Casterlo. Oh, shout out to them, by the way. They were a pleasure to play with and very, very accommodating. So want to give a big shout out to that team that may have you potentially your favorite LCS caster in it.
Oh
That's
yeah.
who plays in this league. Yeah, like Gordo. Like if you guys know who
Oh yeah.
Gordo is. So
I want to
yeah,
say I've met one of them actually. Fun story. Me and some of the high alert and old volatility people went to and cheesers. I forgot to mention them. Went to the LTA finals in Dallas. I think we sat right. I want to say we sat right in front. I don't remember if it was Gordo. It was one of them.
gotcha,
And
gotcha.
I will say, watching the game, he had some interesting takes. Like I'm like the I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like looking behind me. I'm like, who the fuck is saying this?
That is hilarious. And then I would say the bottom teams were definitely struggling throughout the season. So I think it was by the end of the season it was very very clear who was going to make playoffs versus not. Once we enter playoffs though, I think it played out exactly as you expect. Dinner Died for this Paprika absolutely dominated throughout all the way to the finals. Los Big Dig dominated the other side of the bracket. I will say the one surprising upset that did take place in financial this season was LPP boys triumphing League of Alumni, who were regarded to be in the top three. So I think other than that, most results went as expected. The two players that I did want to shout out in this league, one from each of the top two teams, just to put it simply. One, I have to give a shout out to, I believe he is the captain of Dinner Die for this Paprika, who also recently just got his scuttle chip, Mr. Murdervox, also known as Bowman. Huge shout outs to him. I think he played insanely well when I played against him in the semis, and he just played very, very well throughout the entire season. So I think he definitely deserves the MVP for his team, and he was just he was absolutely a monster going against him. So, and I think he has, I think he also like supporting his jungler and also the good macro he has as a jungler himself. I think that was definitely a difference maker in our series when I went against him. The other person I want to shout out was Horticus. In the top lane, I had a chance to play against him in one match. I think he was on Gwen, and I tried to gank him, and he just 1v2'd me and my top laner. And my top laner, unfortunately, was our support who was subbing out. But regardless, he 1v2'd me on Gwen, and the game was over from there. I think his micro play and his ability to play these more micro intensive champs and like carry on them was like unmatched. So the two people I wanted to give shout outs to as potential MVP and SVP of the league were Murderbox and Horticus. But yeah, I mean, financial was pretty much very clear from the start who was dominant, who was going to make the finals, who was going to win. And I think still it was as a mid-table team, being on a mid-table team myself and still being able to make semis. I think I had a good time this season, and it was very fun being able to go against them in that best of five. Dinner died for this.
Sorry, that was a great overview of this the season for sure. I've been a bit quiet so far, but financial and up is kind of where I've really started like paying attention, and part of it is because I have a lot of friends in these divisions. I'm pretty good friends with Bowman or Murdervox of DD4T Paprika. And so, going back to your point about how there was, kind of this lack of parity, especially I think financial was probably hit with it the worst. A little bit in audit as well. These two leagues will see that the parity was not as great. I do know that Los Big Dig used to be a CEO team in season 15. Um, my understanding of what happened was their captain, Jojo Pierg, and Hortikius and Murloc, they were like, "Oh my God, CEO was very, very sweaty," as we'll come to it. And so they, entered with a lower elo bot lane, and then with the new rules of, evaluating at current rank instead of peak, kind of, positions them into financial. They probably weren't expecting to be put here as well. Same with DD4T Paprika. Bowman, I think, was expecting to be put into audit, so was kind of surprised that his team was placed down in financial instead. But I definitely agree. I think Bowman really is the heart of his team. He's great vibes. Team is just never tilts. He's really good at keeping everyone on track in game and out of game. So wholeheartedly happy for all the teams that made playoffs.
Yeah, and who said Chikorita was the worst starter, right?
So I think what happened here was the other two teams, Salt and Pepper, got to choose first, and so
Oh,
they were
But
really trying to push
Chikorita's
for
not a bad starter,
they
especially
were
in
trying to push for
ZA.
Macargo, but Dinner was very insistent that they had to use a starter instead, and we're like, let's just round out the Johto trio, and we're like, all right.
Makes sense, makes
So
sense.
Well,
I mean,
we
oh, and
don't need to
iconic
talk
pick
about the
though.
nefarious team from this group, so because they joined halfway through the season, so
oh yeah, that's true as well.
yeah.
and they inherited the record, and they had just done a roster swap before they got accepted,
Mm,
so they were coming on with fresh tires and had no idea what to do. So we don't need to talk about nefarious on this one.
I think what's cool too about just like this season in financial, it's kind of as someone who has played in financial a lot. In fact, I think that's mostly where I know that's where I play like to really start out my career in LBLCS. Is this is kind of how this is like pretty par for the course in financial. Like it's like there's like three or four teams who would just everyone just like these teams are clearly like above everyone else, and it's like can someone pull off an upset and break up the kind of
Yeah.
conglomerate at the top? I remember when I started, it was this was when I started in King Fried Chicken's reign, and so I had to play against Team Fried Chicken. Actually, no, we didn't play them. This was when they completed their back to back. But it was them. It was Naughty Narwhals with Zebra, and
Zebra, bro.
near peak form. And then they had
Zebra.
oh my god, they had a top laner. I forget his name, but he was like a Shen player, and he was like unironically Masters. And I'm like, why is he here?
I think I know who you're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah, like he was so good. And then there was I need to go back and look, but there's like one other team who was so good. But like this is how financial goes. And like and but no, it is kind of cool that because it's also like one of the most competitive leagues. Just like, once you get to that, like I count like 1 through 6 are kind of like the teams that like can kind of
Yeah.
compete with each other. Like once you get into like those kind of games, like you really start getting like, oh, like there's gonna be some like pretty good gameplay, and that's typically how it goes. But Paprika, I believe, if executive and CEO, my remembrance isn't lying to me, the only team in LBLCS this year to go unbeaten, like series wise, and win
Yes,
their
that is
title.
correct. That
That's
is
correct.
correct. That is correct.
So shout out to them. I think they joined. I would need to go through. Of course, they don't have master sheets for all of them, but I think they're one of the few teams that have done it. They joined the likes of, from what I remember, the two High Alert Henchmen teams that did that in commercial. Um, and then I know Lost Cause, I think, did it one of the years, but they also had like the greatest player to ever play in LBLCS history in Hacks Defender. So just
Yeah, that's pretty
the
nice.
casual pro coach
Yeah, good
jungling
shout out
against
there.
like a
Good shout
100
out
LP
there.
Masters player.
Good
Oh,
shout out there.
speaking of Masters player, the finals was so interesting because I think at this time, Paprika had to use a sub top laner due to some unfortunate, circumstances for their top laner. So their top laner was Fafnir Fan Will, and I think he was rated plat at this time. I know his peak is in Emerald, but he was laning into Hortikius, who I
Ridiculous.
think
600 LP.
masters
600
triple
LP.
digits at this point, and so it was just incredible to see this. Oh
Masters
my god,
triple digits. He's
Hortikius is now
master.
600. He's
Yeah,
600 LPP.
624 LP peak.
Yeah.
Yes.
So really, just want to give this guy a shout out. Will giveth and taketh, and
Yeah, I don't
he,
expect Hortikius to be in
yep,
financial next season. I can confirm
that's for
that.
sure. Um,
Hey,
Unless
but
unless Sisyphus has not Sisyphus, unless Icarus has truly fallen.
hey,
yeah,
but
Or just like,
how many games do you think Hortikius has played against either Lulu or Callista top? Like, let's be real here.
that's true. Will is his new technique is for climbing is Vex jungle. He says he's a great
Ooh,
winner
that's
on it.
interesting.
wait,
So
that's kind
That's
of
a pick close
banging.
to Zoo's heart. I think Zoo
That
might have a few
is
words.
that is man. Too bad Vex is fucking dog shit.
I love that from you
yeah, so
every
I
time we
think
talk about it.
he has picks that people don't know how to play into, even if you're you could be challenging, you'd be like, why am I playing into Lulu top? Like on hit Lulu top.
Exactly.
What am I doing?
Exactly.
So
That wraps up financial, I believe.
yeah,
Great season. Again,
yeah,
I think Zodiac made a great call out there. Shout out to the undefeated season from Dinner
yeah.
Diaper to Paprika. Well deserved. I think they were, a great team, and I really enjoyed being able to play against them in our semis. So, shout outs to them.
All right, now it's my playground.
Let's
So
go.
next up will be me. We will be moving on to the audit division in its second season ever of existence. It was part of that add-in with Tax Haven in season 15. Um, and we got slotted in there after playing in executive last season. Um, I was on Circuit Rat Rock Bottom. Um, and in this league, there's a lot of familiar faces, but like kind of like niche to audit, which is weird. Like it was obviously you had us, you had Team Daybreak, who was former rivals in Executive Group A in season 15. They were a late addition because one of the teams in there, apparently, from what I heard, was also playing in I think B Wall Diamond, and as they're like, oh shit, we can't do both. Like we don't have time to do both, so they dropped. So then Daybreak got added, and because Daybreak was over the total point cap, the roster admin's like, we'll just move the total PPE up 1 point so they can fit in. Fair enough. You gotta do what you gotta do. There weren't many people happy about it. I'll tell you that. There were none too many people happy about that. But then joining us was Elementum China's boys, spearheaded by Zebra and Pals. You had new team to the league, What the Bread.
Wait.
Team
What
K-
the Bread played in I want to say either CEO last split, or formerly known as LCS, but they had a way different roster. I think they've only kept like 1 or 2 people. So
Okay, good to know.
It-
Good to know. Team Chaos, who has been around, I think they started in season 13 financial. I think. Funny enough, fun lore fact for people who know him. This way, Boy with Apples, I believe, started was Team Chaos. um,
Shout out
um,
Bapples. Apple
Shout out
Swain.
Apples. For those who have been around LBLCS the past few seasons, also in this league was MSG Esports, our
I
favorite
love
content
MSG
creators.
Esports.
The absolute fan favorite, in my opinion. Everyone knows when they play because you see the MSG game day, but every single time it's like I love waking up and seeing it.
I just I'm not even like the biggest K-pop fan, but I just love the aura from like
It
just
is kind of aura, and then
yeah,
they'll
it's like
sometimes post Dardock, which I think is just like the funniest thing. But the Outsiders, they were also in this league. Of course, that is a team ran by Ghost X, who's been around for a while. Cap Longest, who was originally supposed to be in Financial, and then they got moved to Audit, while 4G Sports Chaos got moved into Audit was kind of like the testing ground. We're just like, well, we're just gonna start doing shit here. Rounding out the league, it was OML Marmot Flip, and then Pill Country Pirates. Of course, for those who know them, headlined by Delash on D and Drug or Not. Um, Kind of like Financial, this league was very, very top heavy, like really top heavy. Pretty much, this league it was kind of a from kind of week 3, week 4, whenever we started actually playing our games, because this is also a league where there was some massive scheduling issues like halfway through the season. um, so, but it was kind of like Daybreak, who pretty much ran through the regular season unbeaten. TRK Rat Rock Bottom, and What the Bread were kind of all like establishing themselves in the top 3. Then you had the middle of the pack teams. Then sadly, there were a couple teams in Kappa Belongings and the Outsiders who were, no pun intended, on the outside looking in once playoffs got came around. But that kind of all went into effect once the playoffs started. In which it was a finals that eventually saw Team Daybreak and Team Rat Rock Bottom, who were, again, I'll keep referencing it, season 15, Executive Group A, the best single group in all of LBLCS history. I'll mark my words. There's ridiculous talent that was in that group. But they would eventually meet in the finals with Tier K Rat Rock Bottom, my boys, winning the chip. There's a couple teams I know and players I know I really wanted to shout out, other than like my team. But Team Daybreak are it was so funny because Kim knows this because she was in executive season last year. They were like this like fringe, frisky kind of playoff team. They eventually got on the outside looking in, but you were like, okay, they got some like decent players here and whatnot. They added one jungler and then they became a freaking war machine. Like they would like you would be winning. It's like the old great Scar quote. You would be winning until you lost, and you're like, what the fuck happened? You just like lose a fight and you're like, oh, I guess we just lost. Like, oh, my bad. So and like I said, they ripped through pretty much everyone in the regular season. So them, especially Sonora Star, who I don't know who will end up being the hunk of the season. I think he was my vote to win hunk of the season when I submitted my ballot. Um, I mean, he is an incredible player. Was leveled up so much from the mid lane, and He did really well. And then the other person I really wanted to shout out was Allison from Cap Up Longest too. She was their captain. They pretty much, I think, play with their full intended starting five like twice all season. And she got constantly used subs and finally scheduling, and they went through the woodshed with doing all this stuff, but they came out, they put themselves in position to get into playoffs, just couldn't pull it out at the last game of the regular season. So shout out to those two. Um, but I know what's cool too about this league, and I've been teasing it so much. It's interesting because with the Rat Rock Bottom victory. So obviously, for those who were around last season, Rat Rock Bottom won executive last season in one of the greatest. I don't care. I played in it. I'll say it. It was one of the greatest finals of all time in this league. It was wild. It was a wild series. Um, so they become the fifth team to ever go back to back. Of course, joining Swag Order Gang, which, by the way, first time ever in LBLCS history, two teams went back to back. Who knew? Um, and thanks to the help that Pandora did right before this thing started, adding all the players, one player has now basically put not a lot, but distance between himself and the crowd, and that was our jungler Grant Torino, aka Earl King. He now has
Which one is it?
yeah, exactly. He now has 5 LBLCS championships. He has 5 of them things.
I think
And the
most of them
craziest
were
part,
with fried chicken.
they were, and then he won one last year with Surely Not CEO. He was actually their mid laner having to play against mid too easy. Which he was like the fucking best mid laner, like one of the best mid laners in the league, like hands down. And so, and the crazy part too was, um, he was just kind of on the street. He played in the free agent showcase, and I was just like, I remember we had like we scheduled tryouts with one jungler, and then I saw he was on there. I'm like, I messaged him. I was like, what the fuck, Grant? You're a free agent? He's like, yeah, I don't have a team. I was like, want to play for the Rats? He was like, sure. That's how we got our jungler.
Yo,
Um,
Grant being a free agent was the biggest steal. I mean, especially at his eval too. Kind of
yes,
insane.
he got one,
Yeah.
and then our top laner this season, which usually for people who have been around and know the Rats very well, I tend to play with the same group of people. That is, of course, Griffin RS and Ratlantis. Griffin RS did play the first week, and he did play the first playoff series, but some IRL issues and work scheduling and whatnot, he had to switch to a sub. So I brought in a friend of mine, Nitro Dax, if you better known as Glorsnacks, who's an interesting character. He started LARPing his conquest midway through games in our comms.
Oh
Um,
my.
but he got pulled in. He was evaluated as a 6-point player, and when he joined the league, he was D2. Now, like,
Oh my god.
I don't know how he's 6 points, but I'll take it. And so he came in, and I don't want to paint the picture like Rat Rock Bottom was some kind of underdog team, and we through the power, which I mean, we did kind of use the power of friendship too and vibes, but like we were also just a buzzsaw. Like we just entered buzzsaw mode and just kind of started ripping through teams. Um, Speaking of which, too, um, also thanks to Kim, and this kind of will be my last point before I open it up to you guys to ask questions. I know I've been talking for a while. Um, the current longest win streak for a player in consecutive titles is Ratlantis, who's my support, who is currently on a 3-season win streak, winning in season 14 Economy. How he was ever let down there, I don't know.
I still don't know that
Um,
one. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
because the season before, 2 seasons ago, he was playing in Financial. And then season 15 winning executive, and then season 16 winning an audit. And each year he played with a different AD carry, and I think, you know, pending, which I'm going to spoil it, he is an all-star. I think he's also been an all-star 3 straight years, despite consistently also being one of the lowest total point eval players in like the league. So But that's kind of like I said, that's kind of the breakdown of Audit. It was kind of a pretty top heavy league between the three teams, and eventually, TRK Rock Bottom made history, became the fifth team to ever go back to back, and
Oh,
yeah. Speaking of which, personal shout out to Pizarro. He's been like my biggest cheerleader in DMs. Whenever we win, he like
hey,
harken
you
back.
did the same for me. I gotta return the
It's
favor. When I
it's
won my
true.
tip, you were one of the only people, and I
It's
really appreciated that.
it's
So,
true.
you know.
So and I think like as a big like whole thing about LBLCS, and it's the whole reason I keep promoting it. Like I've met a ton of great people through LBLCS, and like I'm not old, but I'm like league old.
You're
I've
old.
been playing since
Boomers.
old H. I've been playing since old Aatrox was the new champion. Um, but like it kind of what makes me keeps coming back. Like I'm just like, oh dude, like these people are great, and like no one's toxic. Like everyone's like, hey man, GG's. And like I know my team can kind of be shitheads. I'm not gonna lie, we can kind of be shitheads, but like it's really fun, and you know I'm glad that I get to keep doing this. So
Uh, well, I just fact checked you. Yes, he's been an all-star the previous 2 seasons.
I know because he was MVP in season 14 in economy.
Oh my
Still
god.
don't know how he got there.
Who would have thought that putting a
You
financial
know, I
player
think
in
that
economy
Landis is one of the few people who was manually evaluated up to what was he, 6 points this season?
because he was
Yep.
originally
So,
3. He's always
yeah.
typically 3, and they doubled his point, and like we still fit him in. But yeah, I mean, any other thoughts before we move on to executive, which was my old stomping grounds?
Oh, I
um,
think. Oh, go ahead, Pandora. Go ahead, please.
yeah, I just wanted to, shout out Capolongus again. I think that they only had 2 game wins, and sadly only need one more to qualify for the 18 playoffs. But I believe one of
But
their game wins was actually against Daybreak,
Mm-hmm.
the Goliath. So I think the team, if they were able to, have fielded their starting roster and had that synergy, I think they probably would have been a, fun playoffs contender.
uh,
Mm.
fun
So,
fact: Capilongus actually did make it
They
on
did
the
make
playoffs
playoffs. That's right.
because
It was
OML could
oh, they
not.
did.
OML. It was OML. I forget. I could sometimes confuse Allison and Azurely. I'm so
Mhm.
sorry. It was Azurely. Azurely was the one who was like, because I remember there was like this whole big thing. We're in audit jumps. Like, oh shit, is OML gonna win and knock out Capolongus?
Yep.
And Azurely was like, well, we didn't win, so I guess we're not making it to the
Oh.
playoffs. Which
Because
shout
they
out to
were a
them.
tiebreaker team. That's how they got in.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
got it. So
I forget
Capolongus went
it's the
got it.
it's the non-playoff standings thing. It's the playoff games included in the standings
Right,
that
right. So the
was
playoff
throwing me off.
standings. So Capolongus did make it. Okay, that's good to
Capolongus
know.
was one of them, yes, and I know
Okay,
their mid laner
wonderful.
boxier scroll was like you're like looking around like, oh, this guy's like D1 or D2, and like you go to him and he's like, oh, he's like 750 LP master. You're like, what the fuck?
Oh, Boxer, she is like also just like Hortiki is hundreds of LP. So
Yeah, yeah, I got kind of bonked by their Mordekaiser mid, so like what can I say about it?
yeah, she used to be a
Um,
top laner, so that's probably why she
yeah,
pulls up.
yeah, but that's kind of all I had on audit. Like I said, it was my stomping ground, but kind of when you look at it, you're like, oh, yeah, this makes like what there's what it shows is what it shows. Like there are 3 teams that
Oh,
you know.
I think the
Oh,
one thing I wanted to highlight from your whole discussion was just you, I think your breakdown of how you built your roster this season and all the like components and like the story behind it, like that's like a perfect illustration of why LBLCS is great and why things like hosting the draft event, which I definitely hope comes back. I think it would be so hyped to try to run that back during this off season and see like people draft each other now that people know each other even more. Like stuff like that. It is really about the community and it's great. So
yeah. Pandora, it is your turn with your team, an executive.
Oh, no, no, no. My team was in CEO, but
Oh,
executive, I
that's
will
right.
say. Executive is where the party is at. I'll say it. If you want to have fun, if you want to like, have really competitive League of Legends but like not too sweaty, executive is where you want to be. I'll say it's one of the best divisions. Definitely miss it. CEO was a lot more sweaty in comparison. So looking at executive, it's a little weird because it's a 9-team season, so there's going to be a bye week. We have the lovely bye week team. I mean, their bye week's undefeated, so
True.
can't hate them bye week. But just a quick overview of the teams. There's 2 milk teams and 2 OML teams, which I think is great. You got to see OML Milk Wars or the big Milk versus OML War as well for playoff spots. And so I think a lot of these captains are really well known in the LBLCS, especially OML Jabba and Pikachu, just really 2 great members of the community that are always contributing and just generally positive people. So in terms of the teams, and I'm just looking left to right here, or I guess I'll just go through the standings. Number 1 regular season was Yes Chef, captained by Rafamal. Uh, People may remember Rafamal from past seasons, where he also captained some teams, I think down in financial, etc. He's kind of known because he peaked challenger many years ago and used to coach like semi-pro. But he's come up here in executive with his ragtag team of Diamond Friends, and it was so great to watch the S Chef because his team, when he was able to field the full roster, you could really see that they were just a well-oiled machine of like really good macro play that you finally start seeing when you get up to I would call it executive like a diamond average league. So probably low diamond average league is probably my description. So yes, Chef was really big contenders. Then we also had T5M with the well-known Achilles, Vacant Tech. Um, T5M definitely rebuilt this roster. They changed out Topside and split into Vanguard as well, which I think played in commercial.
Yes.
So, yep. So Funky Odor brought in some new teammates, such as the famous youngster Joey, and of course, like I mentioned earlier, Vacant. And so they also had a very strong season. We have DD4T Salt, captained by Dinner, the titular Dinner. It's really interesting. I think he called it salt. Well, fun fact about the names here: there's salt, pepper, and paprika. Names I suggested to Dinner because they're the Blues Clues characters, which he found out after, which is really funny.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but he wanted salt because Dinner. It was kind of like the salty run back, except without the running back of the whole team. Of because the Dinner lost in semis the year before, and so he really wanted to build a roster that could win it all. And so I think the only person he actually ended up bringing back from last year's roster was name invalid. Otherwise, everyone else was either new to LBLCS, and I think in general everyone was new to the league except for Court, who had played as a sub on Rat Rock Bottom the year before. And then in terms of other teams, we of course have the lovely Zelius and the rest of the Naughty Boys. I did not realize Dingus was a sub on this roster. I don't think he actually ever played.
Wait, what the
Uh,
fuck? He was
It
on
wouldn't
that team?
surprise me if he didn't play.
yeah, he definitely did not play, so I did not even
Well,
realize
why did
that.
they let him in?
Because it's
He has every single championship ever
Yeah,
in
he does. He
LPLCS
is
history.
he has so many titles actually. So I'm just looking at this now that Dingus is here. I
everything is
mean,
just lets
the Naughty
himself
Boys
in
have a
wherever
fabled
he
history,
wants.
so um, and then finally, the 2 milk teams, one with Pikachu, and then one with Luna. And Luna's team, I'll get more into when we talk about playoffs. The OML teams, we've got Jabba and his lovely crew of, as he would call, Unks. Actually, that's not true. The OML had the Ant and Unks because I think Bioni, the only Ant, and the rest of them were Unks. And I know that Thulam, as you guys may remember, is known for winning that LBLCS's only draft tournament. Oh, and then finally we have the Mana Rights. And the Mana Rights have been playing for 3 seasons, I think, straight now, financial, executive, and executive. And they've never really had much luck in terms of seeing regular season success. So if we look here at the bracket, unfortunately the Mana Rights were not able to, get that series win, but their games are so exciting, and their captain Alphetians and Jack have been great members of the community. So if we look at the playoffs bracket, um, this is the first, I believe, double elim bracket. So the next 3 brackets we'll see are actually all double elim. And so seeds 1 and 4, and then 2 and 3 play. and then afterwards, the winning seed on the upper side will get a what do you call it? A bye. So it's kind of surprising here because Yes Chef was so dominating, but what happened during playoffs was that I believe their AD carry moved across country and became very busy, and so they kind of had to sub him out for a few weeks. And in those few
Mm.
weeks, they had lost, both their first playoffs match and then also their elimination match. So even gods can fall. I mean, we've all listened to gods.
Hmm.
Uh, and so I believe both Buttermilk, who was seed four and made it all the way to finals, which surprised everyone, and I think really big testament to that team. And then then Naughty Boy, so Zelius's team knocked this team out. And so just looking at the you know the top six teams here, um, I just want to really shout out Buttermilk. I think they did what people were not expecting them to come back from the bottom side of the bracket as seed forward, take out the Titans in the first one, then play into T5M, also a very strong team that, they didn't win against in regular season as well, and then a dominating 3-0 as well. So really big testament to their practice and also coaching.
Yeah,
One
I
thing.
actually just want to shout
Yep.
that out too because like I'm a part of the TFT org like or if about Milk org by being in the TFT team, and I'm also good friends with Gingy, so I got some insight on this. But the Buttermilk team went through like a giant training arc in order to achieve what they did this season. Like they punched so well above their weight, and I think it's just a huge testament to Vega
Hmm.
in Milk coaching that team. He put in so much work from what I could see. This team was scrimming like intensely in preparation to make this playoff run. And I think, that deserves its own props in its own way because seeing that from the outside in, I was like impressed because these were players that, people and like you said, they ended like fourth seed, I believe, in the regular
Hmm.
Mhm.
season at the end of the day. And like compared to like when you look at people's TPE and the ranks, it's like there's a huge disparity, but they were on point. They were moving as a unit in these games. Like it was crazy what I was witnessing, and these people were just popping off like on a level that like Quan in particular, Quan Dualblade, the ADC on Vayne. Man, he was. I was like, this is like an Emerald rated player. Like no way, he was moving like a Masters player. Like it was crazy. Like I just have to give their flowers where it's due because you know Vega, he put that squad to work and made he spun the threads into gold.
No,
He did.
absolutely. I think
Yeah.
coach gap is huge, and I do want to shout out DD4T. So also had a coach, Cardi, I believe, uh, who re- um who really helped this team. This team was fraught with a lot of issues at the start, and he really oiled them into their success near the end as well.
Oiled them.
Yeah, not in that way, boys,
I was
but
like, whoa.
yeah, but DD4T Salt I know also scrimmed a lot, like a lot. I definitely like more scrims than I can count on like all my fingers, and maybe two sets of those. So it was quite a bit of scrimming. So really, and I, to my knowledge, I think DD4T Salt and Buttermilk were actually scrim partners. So unfortunately for them, when they had to face the finals, not very. I don't think Buttermilk was very happy about this. So
Yeah, I think too. Like, I know I don't want this to turn to like the whole, the
yeah,
buttermilk thing, but maybe in a like a let like in a sadder tone, man, this team needs to break through at some point.
yeah,
They need to break through. Like they have been knocking on the door so many times. They make executive finals. They make financial finals, I think
yes, they
last
played it.
year or 2 years
Yeah,
But
ago.
against Team Popo, I believe.
Yeah.
Buttermilk
Yeah,
does
like
have a chip, though. I mean, they have a little
well,
trophy
so
on their
they
partner.
have a it's from the High Alert Pride Invitational.
Oh, okay.
So they do have that, but it's like but because they pretty much only compete in LBLCS, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they've been knocking on the door and it's been the same roster like time in and time out. Like they like god they need to break through. Like cuz it's like just for like cuz they're all from like my hometown. Like when I found that I was like what the fuck? Like you guys live I'm not going to dox where my
Dox it.
hometown is,
Dox
but
it.
You're gonna
Dox
talk
it.
to
but like I'm
whole
like, what the
state
hell?
and
You
street
you live
address.
there? Yeah,
And social, please.
But no, and like, and it's just like, man, they just have to break through at some point. It's honestly too the same thing with the Five Musketeers, because
Yeah.
Achilles he's got to win a chip at some point, man. He has to win an LBLCS chip at some point. He is
He did get his scuttle chip last night, so
he did get a scuttle chip, so
so
you know
that's a start.
he's got one, but like he has been like he's been like the threshold for AD carry in whatever league he's in. Like no matter like be it financial, be it exec, be it wherever. Like if you want to be if you want to be considered like not even like oh they're gonna win like be considered as like the best AD carry or one of the two best AD carries in that league, you have to go through Achilles. You have to do something against Achilles because if you don't, he's just gonna run the game over. So
He's a monster. He's a monster.
yeah, and it's like and like shout out to Dinner Die for the Salt. They couldn't make the incarcerated bowl come true last season. Of course, between Rat Rock Bottom and Dinner died for this. But I do know, like obviously, Court super happy that he's able to get Dinner. I'm super happy Dinner, you know, got his championship and like this thing. The watch. Look at this league. It reminds me so much of Tax Haven. I'm like, man, some of these guys just gotta like they just gotta break through, man. Like I
Yeah.
want to see like some like Jabba. I want nothing but Jabba to win a championship because I
No,
know
absolutely.
he is such a nice person and he does so many cool things with OML. Like I want him to win a championship so bad. But it's like, do I want them to win over Buttermilk? I have no idea. Or do I want them to win over the Five Musketeers? I have no idea.
It's so hard. There's so many like community faces in exec. I feel especially these are just such well known faces.
I,
So
I remember when I did my playoff content for executive with Java and Thulu. Java told Lona from Buttermilk in that recording that she probably would lose early because I know she was done. She wanted to finally get done with league for this split, and I think it's a funny story that Buttermilk ended up making that playoff run to finals. It kind of like Java and Thulum jinxed her because they're like,
They reverse jinxed her.
yeah, because they're like, oh, you'll be done soon, and then
oh my. No, I mean I mean this is a another case of like they said buttermilk with a TP of like what 37, so very close
yeah,
to audit teams basically. And this is where I also want to talk about how these divisions were divided. So this is where it gets a little strange, right? I think CEO, executive, um audit, financial, they kind of it's different from season 15 where they had more flexible individual rank. But here it's like, okay, so exact okay, if the player's D1 has to be an exact, right? If the player hit Master Zero LP has to be CEO. So for that reason, because they had a player, I think that was ranked, let's see, the Boo Boo was ranked D2, they were like, oh, this can't go into, for example, audit, right? I think there were no players
yeah.
rated D2. So um but
I
I
don't know if
think
that's
that
true. I think there was a Masters player actually in Audit, but
no, but they weren't rated masters at that time.
no,
Yeah,
they
yeah. It
were.
was
They were. There were. They
uh
were.
no, it would have been El Chameleon.
I think also the Outsiders
Oh,
top
that
laner.
that was Daybreak,
Yeah.
and Daybreak came later, so that was like when they threw out the.
He's talking about Geyser. Geyser might have
Yeah,
been
I'm talking
rated
about
top laner.
Kaiser. Outsiders top laner was Master.
Sorry,
Yeah, rated
I
Master.
have a
Yeah.
fun story about Geyser. It's so
So
funny.
that's
Yeah.
quite strange then, how because Buttermilk, you would think would a lot of these seem kind of interchangeable, right? How
And
um
Yeah,
these
technically,
it's
were
interesting.
allowed.
It's interesting the
Hill
combination of
Country
top laner.
Pirates had a 12-point player, Juggernaut.
Juggernaut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
weird. I think Audit was the one league where it's like, okay, if you have
we
a
fit all
Masters
the
player, like
extras,
the
right?
rest of your league, the rest of your team has to borderline be like tax
Yeah, it looks
haven.
like they
Yeah,
rated him
it's
D1
lower.
though, so that's quite
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really I think it was like kind of like the idea of the balance of it I think was well thought out. It's just that like so some silly goofy things were done with the ratings of certain players, like my jungler and top laner.
Yep, absolutely. That's for sure.
Yeah, at the
But
end of the day,
you know,
it's not an exact science. Like,
yep,
you
not
know,
No,
exact
yeah,
science. So
but like I
yeah.
said, like I definitely didn't complain about it. I'm not gonna be like, actually, you rated my top laner 6 million play, like, but like it was but no, it's like at the end plus two, it's like it's what we went back with the economy thing. Like there's a reason why we play the games. Like if
mhm.
everything was just based on your TPE, like you know,
Yeah, and so I think Buttermilk's a real testament that your TP, you can still make it to the end, with hard work, right? Especially since I think DD4T saw, I think at the end of the split they had three Masters players, right, compared to Buttermilk, who I think might have two players that might have hit Diamond ever. So it's
Also,
just
like those, like it might have been a 3-0 for DD4T, but like those were
Mhm.
close games. I was watching those games. Those were close games. The 3-0 scoreline is deceptive.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think I have too much to add here. I think all teams, they were just it was just a overall great teams, great season. Um, would love to see all of these teams come back next split.
all right.
I concur. Great, great overview of executive.
Okay, so now we move on to the lovely CEO, which is a division that I got to play in. So I know quite a bit about CEO. I believe this was LBLCS's smallest season, tied with I forget if there were any other 8-team seasons. Maybe not. Maybe we were the only 8-team division.
No, not to my knowledge. 8 is quite small. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, I
So
think this season you guys were the only 18.
yeah. You guys
yeah,
were
so
the
fun fact about that, we were ready to start our playoffs, but I think they kind of forgot about us that we were only 8 teams, so we got
They
a nice
did.
extra week off.
They did.
So that was kind of fun, but really nice overview of these 8 teams. Starting at the top of I'll just go left to right in terms of starting TP, the High Alert Gurks crew. So I think everyone remembers the Gurks crew from um they won financial, I think, in season 13 and came back for season 15 under new management, High Alert, making it all the way to finals. So still led by the Tactical Pork Chop. Roster was roughly the same, except support this time. They brought in Sethi, great guy.
Seti
And
was
then
on the executive team last year.
right. So who did they change then? Oh, they changed.
He
Oh,
was
they
their
brought
top
in
runner.
Bear. Right. They brought
Bear.
in Bear, and
yeah.
Mushroom United didn't play. Okay. So Beer joined, and then I believe D Ryan. I don't think Cyclone actually played a single AD carry game this split. So
No.
everyone knows the High Alert crew. Then we had DD4T Pepper, led by Tier. I think Tier previously played under the Nefarious Juggernauts. This roster is actually roughly the same. Poor Tier had a lot of roster mishaps at the start of the season. Liam got super busy and unfortunately had to drop. Rip Liam, would love to see him play again in LBLCS or play against him.
Ruffian
So,
for those who may not know, but yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
big
yeah,
fan.
Doxing people's
yeah,
names.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Womp
Just
Um,
making sure.
womp.
Just making sure.
no, of course, of course. But they had I think they role swapped at least 2 to 3 times. So I know Demaru started off as their mid laner, but ended up role swapping to AD by the end of the season, and then Impeccable started off as their mid, but went jungle. David was started in AD, but then went to jungle, but originally was top last year. So all these, and they brought in a new top laner. All these big changes. The final roster change, they finally got their dub at the end of in their last season match. So really happy for them. Demaru makes great content, great memes. So
True.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I'll never
I mean,
forget the fucking folder he dropped after
oh my
season 10
gosh, that
executive
was
finals.
unexpected.
I had the pleasure to play under Tier in a past season of Scuttle, and I know he has a great mind for the game, and he's someone that I learned so much from in my one season with him. So
Oh, the infamous Tuxedo Magnum team, of
yeah,
course.
the infamous, yes.
Yeah, so
But still, like I think it's unfortunate that things
Yeah.
panned out for him in that way. But yeah,
Yeah, big unfortunate that his team didn't see a lot of success this season, but they're great sports, so would be happy to see them, again. Uh, we had Dirty Rats, who I think these faces are not new to the LBLCS. I don't know if this team has played before, but I
They
definitely
have.
recognize a lot of these players. Okay, so they've
Uh,
played under the
as
Rats team
as
before.
as I have created a faux rivalry with them as the other rat
Yeah, I
team.
mean
They
they're
have.
taking on. I mean you can't really trademark Rats, so
True. I think believe they started in season 10 financial. And we made. I remember our entire goal that we were like, I don't care if we go one and whatever, we're not losing the Dirty Rat. Like we're not losing to the other rat team. So with shout out to them before you can get shout out to that foreign guy.
oh
That
yeah.
dude is a freaking beast. He is so fucking good.
Wait, I wanted to ask, is Foreign Guy actually a mid laner? Is that his main role?
Uh no, I believe foreign guy
Okay.
is actually he might be. One of them was an 80 carry and I
We
don't
we
think it was
looked at him, we were like, he looks like an 80 carry main, but suddenly he's playing mid, so I didn't know if this was a new swap.
it might I'll have to look back through some of the all-star stuff because I remember I
Yeah,
made
my,
his
my
all
guess is that he must have been an ADC main at some point.
yeah.
So but yeah, Rats were great. Chicago Empire, new to LBLCS, loved these guys, loved the energy they brought. I don't ABXY, their captain was probably one of the loveliest people I got to meet and become friends with this season. And this I think Chicago Empire really just embodied what the LBLCS stands for. You sign up with your high elo friends, but some of you guys are low elo and you're still like kicking, you're still like, putting in punches, and yeah, you never lose hope. And so I know on their main roster, they were fielding Tailbits, who you see is evaluated at 1 point, or I think, kind of fit into that like gold to plat range, which, really punching way above his weight class here in CEO, which I'd say is probably a high diamond, uh, average low master league. So. Then, of course, Hunters Association with Mid 2 Easy. Hunters Association was definitely top heavy in terms of points. Mid 2 Easy and his jungler were high elo, and then, of course, their top, and then they had a rotating bot lane of whoever could make it.
Yes, I do know one of their uh supports. Well, god damn, this guy's D2 now. Damn, Codus, I know you were climbing like that. Shit. Yeah, one of their support, Brecky
Mhm.
Hill, aka Codus,
Yep.
for those who don't know him well, is a multi-role talent.
Oh,
He has now
wow.
taken his talents to the top lane and is
Yeah.
currently D2.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, Hunters Association can never really secure it was just kind of like a surprise of a bot lane, every time, especially during playoffs. So I think Brecky Hill played in their last match. I'm not certain.
I believe so.
Yeah. And then we have the Lopters, who played in exact the split before under Void Lopter, and then in financial um the season before that as Blue Lopter. So we're advancing here. We went from blue to
Shout out the
void.
Loftus, man.
Yep,
I
we're just
love
Blue
it.
Lopters.
Every time I see the accepted teams roll out and I see the Lofters, I'm like, fuck yeah.
I love these guys, and I'm just like, did they just like misspell lobster? And I'm like, no, maybe not. But these guys are awesome, and so I mean, you can look at the point values. These guys were also super below TPE. Um, Despite their record being 1-6, they always like took off a game off of top teams. So definitely had some good players on the team for sure. And were quite competitive. But I kind of was surprised to see them in CEO. I think they would have been better fit in exec for sure. Um, so always a bit tough there in terms of ratings. And then last but not least is my team under the new Elementum org. And so I kind of brought together Incarcerated, and I finally made that team that we'd been talking about. I recently became friends with Unkindness, and then kind of brought together a bunch of my friends and a couple of Incarcerateds to form a team here. So in
yeah.
terms of
Shout out.
how this, oh yeah, go ahead.
Did you talk about Down to Lose, by the way? I don't know if you
Oh,
did.
sorry, I forgot about Don.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't
And
No,
don't
also
no
worry
shout
Jungle
out
about
to.
Jimmy.
don't worry
Go
about
ahead.
Jim. Jim's fine.
Jungle
Whoa!
Jim.
Whoa!
What
What
did
about Jungle
Jungle
Jim?
Jim do? What did
Yep,
Jungle
What did
Jim
Jungle
do?
Jim do?
the
Yeah.
Jungle Jim. Oh my god. How could I forget about Jungle Jim? So Jungle Jim also played in Gazak just like myself last split. He was part of the
Except Group A alumni.
Yeah, a Group A
Is that Group A
alumni,
alumni?
playing with a bunch of his college, yeah, his school name alumni. And so I think he brought together most of the same team at the start of the split, except for different support, who's one of his best friends.
And
And so
Bone
they kind of
Void.
ran that
And
roster for a
Bone
few
Boy
weeks.
joined
We're
mid-season,
just
no?
missing.
Yeah,
We're just not
Yeah, we're
including Bone Void in here.
Boy
oh,
Boy.
absolutely. At the end of the regular season, I think like week 5 or 6, their mid laner had to drop suddenly for reasons, and so they brought in Bone Void. So the famous
Yeah.
Twitch streamer Bone Void has joined the
Now, now, now,
split.
Dizzy Dave is the second most famous League Twitter user to play in
Exactly.
LBLCS.
I'm sure if we look back, there are probably many famous Bone Void tweets about the LBLCS.
Oh, I'm
So,
sure.
yeah.
Are there? Now I'm scared. I kind of want to see.
Yeah, now I need to look through Bone Void
Now
Twitter
you must go
history.
look for all the Bone Void tweets about the LBLCS.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Shout out his
So,
Twitter.
oh, definitely wanted to highlight some stuff on Down to Loose's team here. I mean, this is definitely a team that you for reasons you might have seen in owners. I think mostly because of their top and then who became mid laner later, DJ Chu. Really good player, tons of LP. I mean, right now he's sitting at 1150 LP, which is kind of insane right now. I think he might be the highest elo player in LBLCS that played on a roster this past split. So, there might be someone in owners who matches him actually, but
I mean, you
yeah.
have someone who's a close second as far as I know. Shout out to Bandit.
Oh
Man is
yeah.
climbing. Yeah,
Oh
man was
well,
climbing.
right now Bandit is he's losing right now, but he was climbing.
It's fine.
He
He'll get back up. I know him. He's a
Yeah,
great guy.
Bandit's
I
Elo
love.
slingshot. I love that guy. He definitely is an Elo slingshot player. He might be D for one day, and then the next day he's GM. So, um,
He's my goat. He's my goat in my heart.
yeah. Okay. So sorry for forgetting about you down to lose. I don't know how that happened, but to talk about how the season went, I think it was pretty standard. The results were kind of what you expected. Hunters had, I believe were almost undefeated in regular season, and then lost to my team. Down to lose was very dominating as well, and also experienced that role swap change with Bone Void at the end of the season. And so, in terms of the playoffs bracket, I think it kind of went as expected. Hunters won, Down to lose, with their new roster, ended up beating Hunters in the upper bracket and made it all the way to the finals. And then in the lower bracket, and this is where I want to give huge props and shout outs to two people on my team. Prince, who ended up subbing after I had to go to Korea and Japan for a few weeks, and played out some of uh, the rest of the bracket here. And then Bandit played one series when Incarcerated was busy as well. So really, never be afraid to use your subs when needed.
True.
When people are busy. So those guys are awesome. And then one more person to shout out, Turkle, Nevzat. We'll talk about him when we get to owners. He's friends with Prince and Bandit and Co. And he provided a lot of like draft advice. I'd call him my draft coach, and he really did stop my team, mostly in kindness, from doing things such as, guys. I think blind Camille looks really good here, guys.
Mm,
You should just
W.
trust in unkindness. He wouldn't
I
lie.
love unkindness, but I was not strong enough to stop him from
My will is not strong enough.
I was not strong enough.
Uh,
But he'd be like, he would say things like, Turkle, if you trust me, you'd let me pick this champion. And then he'd be like, yeah, you're playing Ornn.
Yeah, good luck, buddy.
So really, he was strong where I wasn't, and that's really what I needed.
I,
So, but all
I,
things
I need
said,
to find this guy. Get him to
I
draft
think
coach me.
very competitive brackets by the end. I think that my team just overall, we did a lot of prep, not a lot of scrims. It was like kind of like the opposite of like say DD4T. We never got to play because my team was super busy, but we would talk before the games, and I think CEO really is where people still play comfort, but stop dropping comfort and really mimicking more strats you might see in pro play, etc. Right? What's more meta? So. And
All
that's
right.
really all I had to say about the
I
season, I think
I
overall.
think the
Yeah.
one person I know I definitely want to shout out in CEO is of course my goat, the first TRK Rock, the
Yep.
guy who basically put me on his my game 5 size on his back. um, which was Mr. Incarcerated. I know this dude is an absolute beast, and he has played two LBLCS seasons, and he's 2 for 2 thus
Oh
far.
man.
He taught me so much about just like playing the game and like knowing how to win and like learning what to do and being aggressive. Like he has, I was sad to see him go. I was like, dang, I wish I could have ran it back with Incarcerated, but I know Pandora will take good care of him. And I was funny when they won. I was in the back of an Uber driving to another bar in Houston after buying a bunch of cheap beers with a bunch of Dutch people from the World Cup. So, and when they won, I was like, fuck yeah! I let out a very audible fuck yeah when I thought that they won. I scared my Uber driver. Um, but
Wow.
yeah, scared my Uber driver. Probably gave me a 4-star review on my Writer review.
Oh my god.
But no, it was always good to see them win. And like I said, CEO like in every league, there's people that you're gonna know, but I think in these kind of leagues, like it's really cool to like watch like new pillars get formed. Like I think Pandora forgot Jungle Jim, or I'm like, how could you forget Jungle Jim? And we didn't know who Jungle
Yeah.
Jim was like a year ago
Oh,
today.
Jungle Gym was great. Like he
Like,
we you know?
yeah, Jungle Jim is great, and he somehow found Bone Void. I don't know how he convinced Bone Void to come into
Oh,
play in
well, my
LBLCS.
my understanding is that DJ Chu, who I think is a college friend of his, knows Born Void from who knows what, right? So
Right. Oh, I know a guy. He probably told
yeah, I know
Jungle Jim, I
everyone
know a
knows a guy
guy.
for sure.
I
Have
He
you
probably
know
ever
said,
a
I
known
know a
him just
guy,
trying to
and
get
then he sees
flowers
Bone
into
Void during the stream. He's like, what the
Yep.
fuck?
Oh, one last thing about Incarcerated. He's a little peeved about this. So as everyone knows, the stats kind of turned off halfway through the season, because small indie company Riot Games, just a little bit of a boo boo, and then everyone ticketed it, and they said nothing, and they fixed it a month later. No notice. But as a result, I think like 3 to 4 series of games weren't there, and I think those might have been his best games. And so he's like, I should be at the top of this leaderboard. So he's a little
Yeah.
angies.
I
Yeah.
I personally want to shout out here and
Mhm.
DD40 Pepper
Yeah.
because, as you said, they fell under the nefarious banner a couple seasons ago under the Juggernauts, and they they really did well then too. And the fact that they got moved up into CEO, I know, and I know they have a bunch of roster issues this season and stuff. So I'm really glad like it didn't put them down to where like they're those the people who like they have roster issues and they end up quitting at like after a couple games of roster issues because we've seen teams leave because of roster issues because they can't have their starting five. Real life stuff happen and they don't want to play anymore. So it's good to see here Damaru, David to keep that team going still with that core with all the roster issues they had this season.
No, yeah. Shout out to Maru too, because I know that guy is a super nice dude, and like I know the season definitely wasn't the best for him, but he was still seemed in high spirits at the very end of it. So shout out to Demaru, man. He's a good dude.
Yeah, I always appreciate when teams that are just, losing, keep a, stiff upper lip and still make it out and still try their hardest in every game. So,
Right.
big respect there. And then the last, I guess, shout out I just want to give, just, all my captains and CEO, just like, exact in season 15. I felt like everyone was super awesome. Um, both Mid Too Easy and I, when we were playing against each other, our team schedules were actually just like the most awful ever. And lovely staff let us delay our week, and Jimmy was also super cool with this too, so that we could play with. We had some critical members that it's like if we don't feel this member, we probably lose. So
Right.
glad that we were able to get our games in, and then Jimmy super accommodating as well. And I remember early in the split, Porkchop was super cool about it, as well as um foreign guy as well. Just everyone, honestly. All the captains were
I
great. So
I know I didn't ask Zodiac or Pizarro this. Who did you vote for best captain?
In our respective leagues
Yeah.
that we played.
Oh, I can tell you mine. I did Allison from Capolongis. That was 100% I did Allison.
For
And she
me,
told when
hold on. 'Cause I was stuck between two, and then I had to decide one. I guess I'll shout out both though. One I had to shout out was definitely Gordo Cast. Like he was so accommodating for us throughout the season, just because we couldn't get that week one schedule just due to scheduling conflicts on both sides. But they were super chill about it. They were fully transparent. Like I understand that they have like a tough schedule in terms of scheduling, so he's who I voted for mine, and he was very cordial throughout the whole thing, even though we had a lot of hiccups. But the other captain I would say was Merger Box. He was very understanding as well. So yeah, those are my two.
and then mine, I think I started said mine. I know I did Allison for mine. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Pandora, do you remember who you voted for best captain?
I think I honestly can't remember who it was. I either voted for Jimmy on Jungle Gym, slash Jungle Gym on Down to Lose, which is funny that I was running through and forgot, or I voted for ABXY. I forget. It was either between the two of them, for that because they were just so like nice to interact with and really accommodating and just good presences. So um,
all right. Well,
Great
home
overview
stretch, right?
of CEO, by the way. Like really
Yes.
comprehensive.
Awesome overview.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, now we get to
We
owners.
made it. Yeah, we
And
made it.
Talk to us
Wait,
about
what
these.
none of us played in owners. However, I had two teams that I managed were in owners, so I had to keep tabs on what was happening in owners. And my God, was it an interesting season? At one point, one team dropped out after 3 weeks because they were like, "Yeah, our schedule's just so cooked." Um, I believe one of the other teams just didn't play like half their games. I don't know. Uh, it was very odd. But we'll go through the teams in point values. Starting with High Alert Birds. They were led by Mr. Tiny Shoes. For those who know him, he's kind of, I think, really got started in Scuttle. I think that's where I remember him most recently. But I think
Same.
some of their big headline players were Prism, who's a nasty mid laner. And they also somehow duoed Prism and Breadwater on the same team. Who Breadwater is probably the best mid laner best non seed level mid laner I've ever played against. Who's like just ridiculous, and
I have
I've
to
never
concur. I fear the Breadwater Oriana. That's all I'm gonna say.
I've
I
never seen
fear
Breadwater lose lane like in my life.
I fear the Breadwater Oriana.
If you can imagine, Pissarro, Breadwater started in financial 1 year. Like he was
Jeez.
like this first season was in financial.
The only
Yeah, it was.
person from Birds I recognize is 21.
Yeah, and 21's also on
Shout
the
out
team.
21, by the way. Shout out
Yeah,
21.
yeah, 21. Oh, and then also I'm looking at the roster. I forgot Dream to Me is also on this roster, and he's my big like assassin coach. So shout out to
Yeah.
Dream to Me. Um, Next to them is of course the very notorious Zaffa and Pals, who were ridiculously loaded. And when I talk about the playoffs, I'll talk about them more. But I know like Nevzat, who Pandora mentioned, the Chosen Goat, quality player who was a monster in the mid lane this year. Osnapski, 50 cal tacos, the aforementioned Zaffa. This team was ridiculously loaded. I mean, top down, probably one of the best teams in the league, other than the team that ended up winning it all. Of course, the Rat Kingdom Cheesers, representing the greatest logo ever made of all time, the Cheeser. Um, with of course the blessing of the OG Cheesers. That roster is of course captained by Memer Sticks, the very well known and very much loved Memer Sticks. Duolingo Owl, who was the top laner. I didn't know he could play top lane.
Bro, I
Duo
swear that
is
guy,
a multi-role talent.
he's a multi, forget multi-role. He can play every single champion. I'm convinced at this point. I am
Yes.
convinced. I am convinced.
Just like he knows
They
all
had
the languages.
They had Cuddle Bear, AD
True.
carry, who, for those who have not watched Cuddle Bear play, is like he is a absolute hyper carry demon. Um, and then they have Majnu, who's the owner of Ember. We just kind of found him. We're like, all right, hey, the owner of Ember wants to play. Okay. Um, and then, in my opinion, I know I said Hax Defender is the best player to ever play in here. I think the second best player to ever play in LBLCS is That's a Toad. Um, at one point, he was the the 5 best Niveas in the world. He was the best at Nivea in North America for a long time. He is absurdly good at control mages. Like, just never loses lane, always is in the right position. He is ridiculous. One of the teams that sadly dropped out was Lane Zero Reapers. Sad they couldn't finish out their season. They were, of course, headlined by Bondi, who is a was just. I remember looking at the first LCS last season owner sheet. I'm like, what the fuck? Why is there just a 900 LPGM player? It was Bondi, and he's just playing support, and you're just like, oh yeah, it's just the best support in the league. Like, there's just nothing you can
I
do
want
about
to
it.
point out that Lane Zero Reaper's name was Lane Zero question Bondi jungle question or something like that, and he
Yes,
wasn't
that's
playing jungle. It was
yes.
they
It was really funny, and Bondi's such a cool guy. I remember we were casting that game between Ratch King Jesus and Lane Zero, and I like hopped on the cast, and they're like, "Well, this is too biased," so they brought in Bondi, and so it's like a 4-person cast, and me and Bondi were just there, like just talking. It was super cool. Bondi's such a nice guy.
Bondi was awesome.
Yeah, next to them is a Goat Milk Lifestyle, captained by Jeeves the Rat, who's super nice guy, super cool guy. Um, they were a really interesting team because it's like Jeeves and Vengeful, who are the 2 lowest point players with their starting AD carry and jungler, but they had L Robbins, Resurrection, and Shady, who were incredibly talented players. They end up becoming the finalists in this league, and they pulled off some crazy upsets to get there as well, which we'll talk about more in the playoff bracket. Next up is, of course, Team Fried Chicken, spearheaded by who many people believe is the GOAT of the low budget LCS and the real Earl King. Of course, he needs no introduction. He is, probably again, pound
He's
for
my
pound, best
dad.
player to ever. Yeah, exactly. He's everyone's dad. He was. I didn't remember. Did I land against him ever? No, but I played against him because I was AD carry at the time. And Breadwater. Yeah, there was a series where Breadwater played against Earl King, which was fucking cinema. Um, to be in that league. And they were, of course, had people such as Loose Lucky, who remember was on some Rat Kingdom and High Alert teams. Zohair, Lunari, who's most known for Sisters of the Loam, and others. Arcadius, also, who, in my opinion, I remember that one saying, like, this is just the best player I've ever played against. And Vexrex. Then you had Boom What Up Last Dance. Shout out to my Boom What Up boys. They're in the same tier as like the Lobters of like, God, I love Boom What Up. I wish, I wish they would win because they're so fun.
I
They have
really
so many.
hope this is not their last dance. I hope they come back.
I
Yeah.
really hope they have like Ethan Ty and Meow Meow
Like these
80.
guys are vibes. Like
Yeah,
totally.
yeah, like
I don't even think Meow Meow like really started in most games. So if they didn't feud Meow Meow, they'd be like
yeah.
CEO team. So
I know Dawe. I think he was an exec. I think another executive.
yeah, they played. He was a group B or in my group. I remember.
I think so. Yeah, I remember like interacting with him. He's a really nice dude.
Yep,
New
really awesome.
new league team who I think was pretty new to the league. Um, they had some really nice players like Zoro, and Seiko, who obviously the 2 highest ranked
I think
players.
that I forget if this team played in CEO or LCS last split. It was one of the two. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
Possibly. My memory is failing me.
Going
And
to
then of
fact
course
check.
TRK Rage Critters, who
Oh,
was
yep.
originally supposed to be designed to be a CEO team, and then when the thing came out, they're like, "Why are we
Yeah,
in?"
shout out to their OG name. They were literally
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
for
literally had
CEO.
CEO in their name.
They should have
Yeah.
kept the name. It would have been funnier.
Yeah. And so, well, that's because I don't think Jakester submitted the damn team name when I told him to on the application. But whatever. But that team was originally supposed to be Jakester, Sideclick, iBallistic Bunny, Pogo, and
Germ.
Germsen.
Yeah.
And then because I was like, okay, like I don't think I like Pogo. I really like Pogo and Iblis Bunny. I'm like, I don't think this team like looking through the teams. So we found I found San and Pokemon Unite, and San is a demon. He is so fucking good. I was like, how can I get this guy on more of my teams? Because he is so talented. He's such a good carry jungler. But yeah, that's all the teams because the other team is a bye week. Um, moving kind of over to the playoff bracket and kind of how the league went, it was again it was such a strange league because there were so many dropouts and so many scheduling issues. Like they the the standings were kind of misleading because you had Zaf and Pals who were like clear in a way the number one seed, right? Everyone knew this except Zaffa and Pals. I believe. Hold on, I need to find them. I need to find it because it was I don't remember because I hate
In
that
this match against the Cheesers, they didn't have Beniona, their premier top laner, and they fielded Legault instead top lane, if I remember
yeah,
correctly.
I believe the Cheesers won that. I would actually need to like
Yeah.
dig through their like match history, but
Yep.
Cheesers beat them. But because the Cheesers couldn't finish all their games, they had to FF one of their games because like
Oh, right. No, they lost to Zap in the regular season.
that's right. Yeah,
Beniona
yeah,
did some Benionaing, and then they had to they FF'd one because they couldn't schedule a match.
yeah. Well, it was because they were going to schedule it using subs, and those subs also lost power.
Right. And then
So
there was no makeup.
no,
Did
did I
we
lose
lose her?
everyone? No,
No, I'm
possibly.
here.
Okay,
Okay, I think we
well,
just lost her.
Pandora. I think we just lost
unlucky.
Pandora. Yeah.
Unlucky.
Pandora, come back.
But so essentially what it created was a situation where I think there were some teams that were kind of like I don't say got screwed, but it's kind of like some things are maybe a little bit misaligned, especially in the top four. Um, and so how everything broke it down was obviously Zaffa and Pals as the one seed, Goat Milk and New League team held up the 2-3. Cheezers were the fourth seed, and then starting the losers bracket, it would have been the Rage Critters and then Team Fried Chicken. Um, so and essentially what happened is the Cheezers pretty much just decided that they're not going to lose. And when I tell you, like, that, I probably one of my favorite times casting was casting owner finals, which I promise you was not conflict of interest. I was very unbiased. But at one point, they were like down like 8,000
Yeah,
gold to Goat Milk.
that last game was
They're down like
absolute
8,000
cinema.
gold. They find one pick, steal Baron, and then win the game. And I'm like yelling, like, they can't keep getting away with
Yeah,
this.
it was crazy, and that was the
Because
game Duo went fucking Lissandra
Lissandra
top
top lane.
with
Yes.
Imperial Mandate, like finding a Korean build out of like the depths, like
Yes.
very recent build because
Oh no, he was
Imperial Mandate
labbing
got
it.
changed.
He was labbing
Yeah,
that shit.
yeah,
Uh,
that's what I'm saying. Like this guy, like when I say he knows every champion on the league roster, like he
it's
knows.
insane.
It's
But
insane.
like pretty much the entire playoff run was like you had to kill TRK to beat them. Like you couldn't just beat them. You had to kill them. You had to make sure they were dead. Because if you gave that like Goat Milk should have at least brought this to a 4-game series.
I
And
agree.
like
That last game, that last comeback
it
was insane.
it was one pick and then the game ended.
Yep,
Literally off of one pick because I think my exact line was like they can't keep getting away with this. Because
exactly.
I'm
I
telling you
remember this. Yeah.
that's what happened in the first playoff match against Zafman Pals and upper finals against Goat Milk before they ran it back against Goat Milk. There were like multiple games where they're just super down and they find and Duo is like 1 in 10. And he's like, oh my god, he's sprinting it. And then he gets an Orin ulti from heaven, hits the entire back, and they win the game. And it's just like they can't keep getting away with this. But it was really interesting too because it basically became this like three-way fight between like the Cheezers, Zaffam, and Pals, and Goat Milk. Well, they play each other so much, and they like, and basically, I think what finals really came down to was Goat Milk beating Zaffam and Pals in losers finals. I think if Zappa and Pals, and this no disrespect to Cheezers, I obviously would have picked the Cheezers to win because they had beaten them before. But Zappa and Pals, that's definitely a 5-game series against the Cheezers.
Oh,
Like, I mean,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
that
then
lower
they hit.
finals
and
game was
that's not even disrespect to Goat Milk, like because Goat Milk
yeah.
again they played that game 3 and game 1 was just super unfortunate because they didn't have their mid laner and they had to do a Ross, they had to swap some things around, but like it it's
Yeah,
just like it was just such a like it was so cool just watching it because like it's like I said at the very top of this like whole 2 hour as I'm looking down the recording number 2 hour long recording like economy and owners like the two leagues where it's like man who gives a fuck I'm just gonna play what I want like what you
It's like the meme, bro. It's the bell curve meme. It's like
I will bet all the money I have in every single thing I own there is no chance we see Lissandra top lane in fucking MSI. There's a 0% chance we see that shit.
Hey, you
There's
never
yeah, of
know.
course they're gonna play safe, but
yeah,
it's literally the bell curve meme, bro. Opposite
yeah,
ends of the spectrum. Like it all comes around.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And opening up the champion history thing, and this is why I think this Chiefs win is actually so unique. And again, I could totally be wrong on this. And please post mortem after this is released. Someone correct me if I am wrong. With that win in, I put CEO, it should be owner. With that win in owner, TRK, despite not being around that long, has the most championships of any org with 4.
Congrats.
Like it's just, yeah, thanks. But like it's and so I think that was just so unique too. And like I guess I'll pull back a little bit of the curtain on how we do things. How we build teams at Rat Rock Bottom. TRK is just like we're just finding people and like we're not like it's not like I'm like and like there's nothing wrong with let's say something like Nefarious did was like hey waves of motion you want to come play for Nefarious and like that's obviously hell yeah do that like absolutely like if people want to play for you absolutely let them in but it's like I think there's so many unique ways to create your rosters and create your teams that there's no like meta to team building like we're not doing anything like we know something
You're
people don't like
you're doing
we're
something right over there, and we'll figure it out.
yeah but it's like I mean, shit, with the way Elements and Dinner died for this, look, they're gonna catch us probably. Like, it's not too long before they catch us. But like I think it's so cool how like the LBLCS lets you do like certain things to build your roster that I don't think you can do in other leagues. Because I think in like some,
Yeah,
I remember I was sitting in a call and I was talking with some people also, in the amateur scene. It's like, yeah, the way you just build your team is you find the people who are coming off certain yeet lists, and you just try and stack as many of the same people onto one team as you possibly can. I mean, and you just roll into the season. You're like, yeah, we just have better players than everybody.
Yeah.
And that's not. I don't know if that's possible in the LBLCS. I mean, sure, it could be, right? And sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. But like, you know, I think we talked about this ad nauseum in this entire show, right? Is that like how many times have we referenced, this team is punching way above its class. Like this player is punching way above its class. Like and and how many teams that we talked about they're like brand new and like, oh, this team has this new player and that new player and this new player. And it's just like I think that's the beauty of what makes the LBLCS so good is because it's the most inviting league to
Yeah.
anybody, right?
Agree. I think
It's
like
go ahead.
people might get frustrated at times when they see roster changes that look very favorable, or you know there are circumstances when players may be rated a certain way that might not be to their liking. But I think the flexibility is a hugely underrated part. Like, you often only remember the negative aspects of it, but you have to recognize that you know, alongside that, there is a positive side that Zodiac has mentioned, and we've all talked about on this podcast about the types of people you can bring together, the opportunities that you can have, just like the ability to create this environment where people can come together and enjoy playing League of Legends. Like, I think that's really the overarching goal of the LBLCS, and I think it accomplishes that quite well. So,
Yeah.
I fully agree with your ideas and testament.
I just want to say, Newly team did play in CEO last season, but they've added Deco and Cloud Cycle.
Yep.
All right.
I remember seeing the Zoro guy before.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, Zoo, what you said, completely true. I definitely agree that if Zap had, again, no disrespect to Goat Milk, who I think played an excellent lower finals into Zap to knock them out. Um, I do think that if Zap had made finals, they would have been a tough match for the Cheesers. In their first series, it was I think a 3-2 with Zap being
Mhm.
winning that first one when they had Beniona, and then it was 2-3, and that was with a sub top laner. So I think it would have been a tough 5 game series with Zap slightly favored, um, just because Beniona was just a monster top laner. So.
Yeah.
And Duo was great too. I heard that Duo, as Lego described him as a disgusting Ignite top lane player, but
It's all right.
some
I know
Hilarious.
in our series the team jailbreak was none too pleased with some of our jungle picks. I was like,
oh
well,
my
okay,
god.
I'm trying to win a
Um,
finals. I'm not trying to win with honor, bro. I'm winning.
yeah, exactly. We are here to win.
Right.
So
I think like kind of in closing, at least in kind of my kind of closing remarks,
yep.
like to not only to see owners, but as the entirety of the LBLCS, like there's like I know there's like team like there's like a team right now in the Rats is playing in Titan. And I'm like trying to like push a lot of them to go play in LBLCS. Like I tell people all the time, like you should go play in LBLs. Like people are like, well, I haven't really played in comp before. I'm like, okay, go play in LBLCS. Like,
Yep.
go do
I
it
think it is so
because
friendly for beginners. It is
it's
just
it
community is
it's
so
Exactly.
good.
so it's so friendly. It's the biggest thing is that it doesn't feel like it's a lot. The problem with a lot of summer amateur leagues is the communities come across as clicky, right? Like a lot of things get said in like their chats, and it's like you have no idea what's going on. So like I don't want to interact in this, right? Because I don't know what's happening. I don't understand these references. I don't know who these people are. And in the LBLCS, I don't think there is that. Like every day I log into the LBLCS, it's a new person asking a question. Like, when does the league start? How do I join? How do I do this? And like, there's like 5 people responding, saying the same thing. And it's like, all right, guys, we just need one person to do it. But
That's what
like
the ticket system's for, too. So
yeah, it's so community focused, and it's so it's so focused on just people having fun. And it goes back to the whole thing that LeChance always says: one team's gonna go like 8-0, one team's gonna go 0-8. Like that, there's nothing you can do about that. And yes, does the LBLCS have its warts? Absolutely, but that's the reason why there is a staff. That's the reason why there is a rule book. Like, so things can change and be adjusted and fit for the times. And I think that it's in such a good spot right now. I think it's super healthy. I think there's this perfect blend of a lot of veteran presence and a lot of like I say young, like they're damn
newer.
NFL draftees, but like yeah, there's newer players also coming and bringing along their friends, and that creates a seed and sparks things, and then new orgs get created, and then new rivalries get born, and it's so organic. Like that's the best
Yes.
way I can describe LBLCS and everything. It's so organic. It's like its own little ecosystem in the greater amateur world, and there's like a good chance that like nefarious may never see may never play in Aegis or BOL. And I mean, I don't know what Din or Die for this is doing, Pandora, but Elemensa may not play in AML or Titan Vanquisher and Team Volatility. I know damn sure ain't playing in those leagues. And like,
Yeah.
and the rats were kind of branching out a little bit, but we're gonna be a LVLCS org primarily. Like, it's just so unique. It's like we're like the LVLC is like the Australia of the amateur scene. Like, it's so cool and it's so unique, and there's just nothing like it out there.
I get that reference.
because listen, they as someone who has been in a lot of the
Because
amateur scenes,
technically, if you want like a mix, like nation, it has to be America because we have everything.
fuck, you know what? I like that. Fuck yeah, we are America.
Because
Titans,
We'll
you're
send it.
fucking
We'll
Poland,
send it
bro.
for July 4th. We'll
Titans,
send it.
Poland.
because
We'll send
you
it.
gotta
Sims,
think,
your org, Italy.
wow, calling out Sims like that. I'll be sure
That's
to
my
tell
boy.
him that.
Fucking what's his name? Shoot, who's the guy who played in Omega who owns Aegis? Not Bully, that's BOL.
That's BOL.
Concrete, you're fucking
Denmark.
Uzbekistan, bro. You're Uzbekistan.
Jesus.
No, I love all those guys, but like I think it's just so cool. Like it's just a great org, and I can't wait for season 17. And that's
Exactly.
kind of all I
I
have to
echo
say.
that sentiment. Yeah, I mean, you summarized all my thoughts pretty well. I don't really have any other things. I like just to conclude though, I'll give some shout outs, I guess. Shout out to the entire LBLCS community for another great season. Shout out to all of the admins and staff that make everything possible for this season. Like this is impossible without everyone's hard work, and it's really a labor of love, right? We're not doing this for any money. We're not doing this for plaudits. We're doing this for the community because it gives back to us in so many ways. So again, everything, just try to remember that everyone involved is a piece of this puzzle that makes it what it is. So just huge shout out to the community as a whole, and shout out to everyone on this podcast. I had a great time talking about League of Legends and teams and LBLCS and this league full of random people across the entire nation and possibly even Canada and other parts of North America that can come together and just have a hobby that we just enjoy and put aside everything that we might have going on in our lives just to enjoy League of Legends and just talk about it. So it's truly something unique that brings people together in a way that I may pass by some of these people on the street and not even know, but when I'm online with them, like they're my friends and they're my pals, and I can talk to them freely. So it's just a great space. So you know, it's something that I will treasure for sure and have fond memories for. But that's all for me.
Pandora, you got any closing remarks?
No, I mean, well, I guess a little bit, right? Like, Everin is so awesome. I think Sarah's statement is really good about how uh, the LCS is impossible without everyone from the staff to the players. And so, I've only been here for a year, but I've had a blast both seasons. The friends I've made have been awesome. And just in general, like, compared to other leagues, just LBLCS is such a great, like, non toxic way to experience competitive League of Legends. So.
Yeah, all of you guys did amazing. You guys explained the divisions great. You guys did everything perfectly. I, the one, couple, two small shouts I want to do is I want to congratulate both Pandora and Pikachu on their promotions in the LBLCS staff ladder. Pandora is now a senior staff member, and Pikachu is one of our admins. So be sure
Thank
to
you so much.
congratulate them down in the comments because we totally might not read them, but if we do go back and read them, they're there, or you can just say in the general chat congratulations to them. And I and LBLCS, like everyone said, it's a place where you build friendships, you build rivalries, and you get to play with who you want to play with. So you may play in another league, and there's people from other teams you want to play with. Tell them about LBLCS. Tell them we can make a team together and have more fun in LBLCS than in like Titan because we don't have those game requirements. We don't have an entry fee like Bizarro said because we don't do this for money. We do this to give back and have a good time. So I think with that, we closed. I think we cleaned up the kitchen pretty good.
I think we did. I think all the dishes are clean. I think everything is in the dishwasher.
Bizarre,
leave
did you mop the floor?
No, I was gonna say we'll leave that judgment to the people, right? We'll see what they have to say.
Yeah, there's a booth over in the corner that I was like looked at. I was like, I think it's good. I think there's some maple syrup still that's like sticking to the table or whatnot. But whoever's whenever the Raiders come back, they can enjoy that spot.
Yeah. So with that being said, I'm Sammy Two Slap, joined by Zodiac, Bizarre, and Pandora. And that was Denny's After Hours, and that is a wrap for season 16 LBLCS. See you next season.